Looking for an iconic Cleveland music venue that features premier entertainment, spirits, and food? Well, look no further than the Brothers Lounge. They offer a variety of live entertainment acts weekly, along with a diverse selection of beer, wine, and fine spirits, not to mention Chef Wynn's food menu, which has been crafted with traditional American fare with a modern twist. So come on out and enjoy the warm hospitality and make some new friends right here in your backyard. For more information, head over to brotherslounge.com and check them out for yourself at 11609 Detroit Road. That's right near the border of Cleveland and Lakewood. The Brothers Lounge, proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader.
Welcome to the main event here on the Inside Edge Net. The Guardians suck, the Browns are about to suck, and the Cavaliers are trying not to suck. How are we all doing today, gentlemen? We've got Anthony Alford, Eli Moon here. I'm Rob Rozycki. How is this Sunday evening working out for everybody?
Well, Rob, we wish we could have came on here to start the show, Double A and I. We were really hoping. We talked Saturday at Brothers Lounge, of course, title sponsor of the Inside Edge Network. We appreciate them. Double A has some great voodoo pasta. We were talking, man, wouldn't this be so cool if we could have came into the main event tonight now, and talked to Rob on his birthday about the momentous occasion that is preseason week 1. The Browns have figured out some things, and well, we have more answers that we need to find. I'm doing all right. Besides all that, great weekend. I've enjoyed myself. Had some great food, great people I got to hang out with. I've enjoyed everything, but yeah, when it comes to them, I know we'll get to the Browns. It just more answers we have to figure out, and it seems like more questions. It seems like out of this week 1, at least for me. Double A, how you feeling?
I feel good. I'll keep my open short because we got a ton of things to talk about, but I feel pretty good. Had a very eventful weekend with family, of course, yesterday, and we got to experience the Browns preseason game together. So we got some thoughts there, but again, enjoyed ourselves at the Brothers Lounge. It was not my birthday weekend, by the way. That's Mr. Rob Rozycki. Yes. But overall, pretty good weekend.
Yeah, it worked out well for me. I went to a Lake County Captains game yesterday, tried to go to one today, but Mother Nature had other plans. So, I went to the stadium, had steak, and then chocolate cake, and then napped. So, it was a pretty good birthday. So otherwise, not too bad.
Enjoy manhood, steak, cake, and nap.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the physician would not have liked that with my a specific blood sugar count, but we're okay. It's on my birthday, whatever. I had ice cream out of a little mini helmet too. Damn it, I was going to do that.
Hey, you deserve it.
But yeah, I mean, but it was a nice little precursor to the weird show. I mean, we do have a lot to talk about, and a lot of it is kind of crappy. I do hate, a lot of it is just, again, the way I opened the show here, the Guardians are just kind of flatlining right now. I'll give a couple of reasons why later on in the show the Guardians may not be dead yet, but it's going to take a little bit of a stretch here. And then, of course, to Double A and Eli both alluded to it, the Browns preseason week 1, it is finally here. I believe it's now the next 28 Sundays we will have professional football being played. And this one, even though it didn't count, definitely turned the fan base some kind of way. 34-10. Browns go down to the Chicago or Indiana Bears. We'll figure out what's going on with that. But yes, nonetheless, they lost to a Bears team that was not playing a lot of their starters. And word has it, they had their receivers coach, Antoine Randall L., calling plays the second half. And all they did was score 24 points against the Browns. So I know we'll talk about the defense later. I don't think that's at the top of everybody's mind right now. But the quarterback situation. We had all 3 major quarterbacks play, at least the ones that weren't drafted this year. All 3 had a turnover. In the case of Deshaun Watson, it was 2 scoring drives he led. How are we feeling about the quarterback, and how has that changed maybe since before this game was played?
Yeah, I mean, the quarterback room leaves a lot to be discussed, right? When it comes to Deshaun Watson, and Double A and I talked a little bit yesterday, it got a little frustrating talking about Watson because the game plan wasn't structured for him to go out there and necessarily wow with big plays or anything like that. It was structured to, essentially get his confidence going. Like, Double A and I spoke on Saturday, and it did that. If you look at the stat line, we'll pull it up here for everybody at the screen. You obviously see Deshaun Watson, 11 to 15, 126 yards. I get it, the 10 points, but a lot of it was off of a 43 yard, break open by Dylan Sampson, and then a few dink and dunks throughout the way. I think for me, and Double A may differ, but I think the biggest disappointment for me out of this quarterback room was Shedeur Sanders. And that hurts me to say as a Shedeur guy, but we got to call it how we see it. And, 6 of 11, 79 yards and an interception. The big thing for me, and we obviously have some sound we'll listen to later on, is just how ho-hum he's kind of been about this. And at one point, I can understand, like, you're feeling the pressure. Like, you just want it to be a little bit laid back because there's already a ton of pressure doing this and being in a quarterback battle. But, listening afterwards and being like, well, yeah, I saw the right read. I sailed it. Well, those were things we were having discussions about with certain first-round quarterbacks from 8-9 years ago. Josh Allen had the accuracy issues. The thing is, Josh Allen cleaned up pretty quickly, and the Bills also invested a first-round draft pick into him. Shedeur Sanders, whether we like it or not, doesn't have that same luxury of Josh Allen and other quarterbacks that were drafted higher and have those types of issues. And it's starting to get frustrating because for every, 2 or 3 plays, Shedeur looks good. Like, they're showing the highlights all across Sports Center and everything. There he is finding Luke Floria and great plays. And then just to sail it, basically a drive killer or on alive or whatever you want to say, just a spot where the Browns can't trust that. And that's what's frustrating. You want to be like, well, Deshaun Watson shouldn't start. I don't want him to start. But Double A, correct me if I'm wrong. It appears out of all the options right now, and this pains me to say, Deshaun Watson, after 1 week, looks like the safest option. I'm not going to say the best option, but the safest option to at least create an offense that can help Denzel Boston, Casey Concepcion, Fannin, Judkins, and the pieces around at least gain some confidence throughout the season. And that pains me to say because I don't think there is a right answer on this roster at this current moment. But it appears Deshaun might be safer than Shedeur.
Yeah, this is tough because this quarterback room, let's just be called for what it is. It's not good. I'll give credit where credit is due. When you put up the stats, you see the stats for Deshaun, and with Watson, when Casey Concepcion scored a touchdown, at that point in the game, he was 8 of 9. He really should have been 9 of 9. Harold Fannin dropped the, point blank ball that he should have caught.
Cut him.
But Bowling Green, give him another chance.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, listen, we give grace to BG folks here on this show, okay?
Yeah,
I understand.
Thank you. But it was obviously, and I don't blame Todd Monken and the offensive coaching staff for this. This was set up to be a confidence-building game plan for Deshaun Watson. And from that standpoint, it worked. It did. I did notice some very alarming, very concerning traits. And a lot of it, I've talked about it all throughout the year. The game speed is going to catch up to him, and it caught up to him this past Saturday. And I don't think, and I hope this comes with time. Maybe it's just me being a Browns fan, trying to see things for the best, but he's waiting for his receivers to get open. And when you wait for receivers to get open, it's too late. You're not giving your offensive line. I know they were, you got a little bit later in that first half. You got different guys in there. You're not giving them an opportunity to succeed. You're going back to, balls being batted down, the fumble, it's things that you won't get away with against the ones. The problem, though, as Eli just pointed out, Shedeur Sanders is not taking this job right now. He's not. He makes a few good plays. Again, that 3rd and 15 to Luke Floria that Eli talked about. But then it's his problem last year. It's that for every 2 or 3 great plays or pretty good plays, it's the inexplicable interception. It's the, what are we doing? Why is he on the field? Like, what's the point of momentum if we're just, I don't care if the ball's wet or not, because he had these problems in August, November, and December. Like, if your ball is selling, you're not doing the things you need to do, you're not getting the ball released, you're going to turn the ball over. And no football coach likes that. So, yeah, I think this, Rob, I'm going to be perfectly honest. Unless Shedeur Sanders does the impossible and takes this job away, I wouldn't even mind if they named Deshaun Watson the starter tomorrow.
That's, I think, I think that's what everybody was looking for, and it might be unreasonable, but I think it's just the reality of the situation. They were looking for Shedeur to take the job, to not be. I think we all kind of realized that if it was a tie or if it was just, hey, we're going to go with the least damaging option, it was going to be Deshaun. Shedeur is not the safe option in any of these scenarios. So yeah, it was going to have to be kind of a Russell Wilson in Seahawks camp against Mac Flynn, or that kind of situation where he would walk in and make obvious strides and obvious leaps, and it just hasn't happened. I think the best, and you guys kind of alluded to it, the best situation I think the Browns are in right now, or the situation they're in, is we have to design an offense and we have to design a system that will allow for the growth of these position players, of the Fannons, of these receivers, the running backs, and even the offensive line. Maybe if it is, a more run-heavy offense where these guys are more focused on, run protection, which is easier to do generally than pass. Where you can find a system that is going to be developing these other pieces and maybe not so much worrying about a quarterback, basically keeping a seat warm for one of these college quarterbacks, whoever, coming on in next year. I think unless we are significantly surprised, unless one of these dudes gets into a regular season game and there is an honest to God shift between the practice field and the bright lights of an actual game, which could happen. I mean, I'm not completely outweighing that. But unless that were to happen, I think the Browns are just kind of in a situation where they got to just make sure they don't stunt the growth of anybody else on this team at the expense of a pretty, we'll just say, pedestrian quarterback situation.
Yeah, that's a very nice way to put that, Rob. I appreciate that, and I'm sure us as Browns fans appreciate that, because it's been rough to watch, and AA obviously put.
Not every team could have Drew Aller and Will Howard, so we're
not gonna. This is your birthday. We're not gonna put up with all that. All right, look, we're not doing all that,
man. Y'all had a great week, okay?
Hey, they played a good half of football, which means they're going to go to Canton. So we all know this.
Now, AA had put a tweet out here to the group from Daniel Oyefuzi about seven hours ago or so about what the schedule is going to look like for the Browns, and this is what's concerning to me as a Shedeur fan and somebody who still would like to see him try to win this job.
Actually, real quick, Eli, before you bring that point up, we have a cut from Munkin 01 explaining that plan. Let's go ahead and play that.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead. Todd Munkin here.
Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. I mean, it was so cool. I was just talking to Jake about that, Coach Bajakian. I think we're going to go Shedeur Monday and Wednesday and Deshaun Tuesday, Thursday, but Thursday's really both.
Yeah.
So it's really, I mean, with Joe Brady here at 4, so it's just trying to get blocks set up in each, say it's rundowns. Can we get 16 plays where maybe we go 5 with the 1s, 3s with the 2s, 5 with the 1s, 3s with the 2s, and that means both quarterbacks will get 5 reps in each block. Rundowns, pass downs, red zone, 2-minute. Those kind of things we're going to work through here in 27 minutes.
Yeah, in that, obviously, Todd Munkin did a better job than me explaining AA, and the video was acting like the quarterback room right now, so it was acting a little funky. It's all good, though. We regroup. But, yeah, I mean, that's concerning as a Shedeur fan. Regardless of how he looked, I know he didn't look great, but if you're a Shedeur fan that's like, well, there's still a glimmer of hope. The fact that this is being split the way it is right now, and Deshaun, you actually made this point in pre-show about Deshaun getting the pads. Like, Shador's going to get in there with the helmets or the shells, and then you're going to get Deshaun there with the ones with the pads. And then it's going to be Shador and then Deshaun splitting that time on Thursday. So there's a real chance that Shador Sanders is not even playing for a starting gig at that point based off how the joint practices go. That's what's concerning if you're a Shador fan, Robin AA. And the other thing to take away from all this is if you're looking at this and going, if you're rocking with Deshaun Watson or whatever, believe he's the best option, there's still fear to have there too. This is not a clean, hey, this is the guy, it's clear for this year. Because to AA's point, you saw the timidness in terms of when the pocket collapsed, he started getting timid. That's a guy that's been injured multiple times. Last time he's been on the field. You saw the timidness. You saw the delaying to get to his open receivers, open guys, whoever. That's concerning. So to your point, Rob, you would hope they can help the offense and grow this offense along. But I don't know if there is an option that really grows this offense. I think, and it sounds terrible, but it feels like this is survive to 2027. See what you got, what's kind of left on the puzzle board for 2027. Because if Shador Sanders, who I've been going to bat for, AA as well, and a bunch of people on the network is saying, I don't want this job essentially by how he's playing when he gets these opportunities. And Deshaun Watson's not going to be a Cleveland Brown next year, more than likely. Then you have no other choice but to kind of see how you can just kind of salvage the pieces, like you mentioned, offense, see how the defense grows and move forward. But it's concerning because I don't know if either guy really truly advances the rest of these pieces.
But that's what Munkin's job's going to have to be is because you don't. The worst case scenario isn't a dog shit season. The worst case scenario is a dog shit season where all of a sudden you start having different opinions of guys, these two receivers that were drafted, or Judkins, or Fannin, or Schlesinger, or any of these defensive pieces. You got to make sure that whatever's happening at quarterback and whatever deficiencies you have there does not spread like a cancer throughout the team. We've seen it happen before where we've had these end of season runs where these players just don't look the same. They never look the same. They're no longer first round picks anymore. They're just another guy, and something kind of happens either in their head, coaching wise, on the injury, whatever. They just got to make sure that, they can either, have these guys develop or at best nullify any damage that will be done to them.
Yeah. And the other part that is concerning where it's going to be squared on the quarterbacks, I don't know. I was not impressed with our offensive line in terms of running the football.
No.
So if they can't create running lanes for Junkins or anybody else that's in the backfield, like we got to utilize our guys in space and do that. Now you're looking at, depending on our quarterbacks, to throw 40, 50 times a game.
Well, and it's going to have to be kind of built as an opposite of a normal prototypical offense. They're going to have to throw the ball just enough where, whoever they're playing is not going to line up 8 guys, 9 guys in the box, because it doesn't matter what the offensive line is doing at that point in time. If you're outnumbered almost 2-1 in that situation, you're going to have a tough time. So, whatever it is, dink and dunk, use the tight ends, whatever it would be, slant routes, screens, whatever it would be, to kind of at least spread the field out enough to make sure the running lanes are still kind of there and the offensive line does have a chance.
Yeah, but the fearsome thing with that too, I've been thinking about this throughout camp in terms of the offensive line, is you've seen Spencer Fano getting a competition with DeJuan Jones and other competitions in the offensive line positions. What's more important? And I truly ask this. What's more important? Offensive line competition or continuity? Because this is an offensive line, at least the projected starters coming into camp, that has never played on the same line together. They need continuity. They need reps. You're going to put a rookie out there at left tackle in Spencer Fano. We've seen how it's gone with one rookie left tackle after Joe Thomas. It hasn't been very promising, and I have high hopes for Fano. But what's more important, guys? It's like, is it the continuity and getting these reps? Because I've been curious all along that why Fano's splitting with DeJuan Jones and all this is going on. Okay, I get the competition. DeJuan Jones, all respect and love. But let's be clear. He got benched, and then he came back. He got injured, or excuse me, he got injured, then he comes back, gets benched because he can't keep his job. I mean, there's multiple times this guy's lost his job for one reason or another. I don't know if doing a competition at certain positions has benefited the Browns, at least at offensive line. I believe there should be some sort of continuity. That's a line that is going to be fresh. And right now, to Double A's point, they didn't look very promising out there on Saturday, and that's concerning. Whether it is Deshaun, who, again, looks timid when there starts to become pressure in that pocket, and for Shedeur, who last year didn't really want to wait in the pocket. That's one thing I'll give him credit for. On Saturday, Shedeur wasn't running outside of the pocket, wasn't trying to scramble out of situations and throw something errant. I know he had the interception, but there was a lot of times he stayed in the pocket. But regardless, you can't have an offensive line that doesn't have fluidity together, because that's going to cause issues. We talk about it all the time with different NFL teams, and of course the Browns. When an injury happens in the regular season or somebody has to get benched, there's always that growing process, in pains of working next to the guy that maybe wasn't playing left guard next to you the week prior.
I think the other thing too, and I agree with those points. I hope, by the way, Eli, I hope the joint practices with Buffalo later this week will solve some of those issues, or at least we can see what's going on. I think now with the way the preseason is, with only 3 weeks instead of the traditional 4, you really don't have a true evaluation really of anybody, right? Like when the game started, Deshaun's out there and you start the game with 3 straight running plays. Okay, we kind of see how this is going. We're going to have a game plan that's protecting Deshaun Watson. So I can't even give a true fair assessment of Deshaun Watson challenging a defense. I can't. Because they didn't give me a game plan to allow that to happen. It was a protect Deshaun game plan.
Preseason's hard with that, just with any team now.
Well, and it's hard too because Chicago, I think they announced Thursday Caleb Williams wasn't going to play, right. And then it turned out on Saturday a lot of their starters didn't play.
Yeah, so, Tyson Bagent and Case Keenum was basically the quarterback deal they were playing with.
And then the worst part about this, all right, so we got Buffalo this week. The worst part, who's going to play on Saturday? What evaluation are we as fans going to see on Saturday? Because all the ones going to participate in the joint practices Thursday and Friday. Who's left for Saturday? And then at that point, which evaluation are we going to go? Is Tom Monken going to give the same, let's give Shedeur Sanders confidence game plan that he gave Deshaun Watson? Probably not, because if you have that game plan, Shedeur's not getting the job.
Well, I think with that too, and then I'll hand it off to you, Rob. I just think with that, Double A, they understand they have a glass house with Deshaun Watson. The Browns understand they have a glass house. And fair or not, again, I'm not a Deshaun Watson fan. I've never been a fan since he's been here, but I believe the Browns believe that he is obviously another injury away, whether it's in preseason and he runs, a drop back and gets hurt there, from them not even getting to trot him out there in the regular season. So as frustrating as it is, as Browns fans watching that's why they're doing that game plan. They won't, in my opinion. I'm curious your thoughts, Rob, and I'll hand it to you here in a second, but just curious what they do with Shedeur Sanders, because they're not necessarily worried about injury history or anything. I think he's going to have to go out there and ball out, have a crazy performance for however long he's out there for this to be even a discussion going into week 3 for the starting quarterback of week 1 of the regular season. But Shedeur's going to have to ball out, Rob.
Because we keep on forgetting all the time. And, despite the notoriety, despite the personality, despite all of the attention coming into the league, can you name me a 5th-round pick quarterback that didn't have to absolutely ball out to get the starting job? I mean, that's the reality of it. Russell Wilson had to look like, the second coming of Matt Hasselbeck to take that job out in Seattle. You don't get a surprise 5th, 6th-round quarterback, coming out of nowhere and taking a team like this. If you do, it's Tom Brady and Tony Romo are the only guys that really come to mind in the modern era anyway. So, he's going to have to ball out. And the other thing the fans are going to have to understand, it was something the media had to understand last week with the whole practice schedule kerfuffle. we want an evaluation. The fans definitely want to see what this team is going to look like and want to see what we're going to be working with, Christ, until New Year's weekend. So yeah, I understand there's something, we do want to see. And the media, of course, wants to see what's going down and get their evaluations done to let us know what's going, to let the fans know what's going on.
Right.
But the process, and as much as you want to make the fans and the media happy, this process isn't about us. Right now, it's not. It's, and the only thing we can really do at this point in time is with a first-year head coach who we do not have a track record on, is either trust or not trust the process that he's going through that's going to give us a quarterback, at least to start the season, and deal with it. Because again, I think, we're frustrated as fans and as media that we're not seeing the evaluations happen in training camp or in the preseason games. That's what these joint practices are for. That's where they're looking at these guys really, hardcore day in, day out. Yeah, we can criticize the practice schedule throughout the week. We'll see how that's going to shape out and work out. But, that's where they're going to get most of the hardcore data and hardcore tape, going down. It's not going to be in the preseason game. It's not going to be in front of fans in training camp. So we're, I know we want results. I know we want a decision. I know we want information, but we're going to have to just tap the brakes a little bit and let this process play out. Because again, it's kind of, we're sifting through the dumpster right now and trying to find the best goodwill save we can. That normally doesn't happen overnight.
One thing I know I'm not waiting to say, Dillon Gabriel sucks. I'm not waiting to say that. I mean, you want to talk about dude, what are you doing out there? Who are you? I can give the football slip excuse with Shedeur because, Shedeur was on. By all indications, he did make the right read. The ball slipped. The problem is he needs to stop doing that. Dillon, why? And this is where it goes back to, you can question the Browns and whoever made the call, Kevin Stefanski, whoever made the call to select this kid in the third round. I'm sure he's a good guy. I'm sure he's somebody who, again, if for whatever reason, I'm just throwing it out there. Let's say Shedeur Sanders is traded if this doesn't work out, whatever. Fine, you can have Dillon as your backup. But this kid, he ain't it. I don't know what reads he's out there trying to do. The problem, too, he's undersized. So, I could give Deshaun an excuse. I can somewhat give Shedeur an excuse. But, Dillon, you're going up against the threes. You're going up against guys who's trying to make the NFL, and you can't make simple reads and run an offense.
When can they just get the 5th round pick from Atlanta that will come over here for Dillon Gabriel, the only other team that has a more dog shit quarterback situation right now than the Browns? Because good or bad with the Browns, at least these two dickheads are staying on the field. At least we haven't had to get the card out yet for either one of them. Atlanta, you got, the dude who has 4 ACL surgeries and the dude who has that many severe concussions. So trade him to Atlanta, give him his BFF back and Kevin Stefanski. Everyone will be happy, really, except for Falcons fans. And I'm not too worried about them on my priorities at this point. So just get it done. If you can get a 5th for Baker, you can get a 5th for Gabriel. Come on.
Just let's stop with the Dillon Gabriel. I've been seeing that all over social media, the Dillon Gabriel, and look at him. He should be getting first team reps. Let me say something. If you were out there advocating for Dillon Gabriel to get first team reps, hopefully what we saw on Saturday has completely silenced that. In fact, I would be advocating for more Taylon Green reps throughout camp. Now, of course, as camp goes on, you won't see much of those, but I'd be advocating for any reps going to Dillon Gabriel to at least be split at the very least with Taylon Green. I mean, we know what we got with the guy. He's undersized and he can't throw the football. I mean, at least to our team, he throws to the other team very well. So that's frustrating. I will say this too. I know we're up against it here. I want to just bring up one final point, and I'll hand it back to you guys. I saw some news come through the wire. I was late night. I was awake. I'm up to like 3, 4 in the morning, and I saw Marcus Mariota was injured yesterday, and we'll
He
see
has a
how.
lot of gray hair now. Did you notice that?
Dude,
Like he looks old.
think about
Really?
this. He played in the national.
Marcus Mariota?
Yeah.
He played in the national championship
Was he
game.
just in college like yesterday?
No, 2015.
I gotta find this.
Yeah.
No way.
So he'd be early 30s at this point. Yeah.
I think, and he was a 4-year starter, I think, 3 or 4-year starter at Oregon. So I'd be curious to see how. Yeah. So my thing with Mariota is he's looking. My thing with him is he just got injured yesterday. Washington already has a shaky quarterback room with Jaden Daniels. Of course, the injury history there with Jaden Daniels, and then Mariota being out, and there's already an injury history there. I'm just saying, and there's a few other teams that obviously open up. AA brought up, about the potential of if Shedeur Sanders is on this roster going into the regular season. Even I would not put it past the Washington Commanders, regardless of how this quarterback camp goes, as long as Shedeur, if he doesn't win the job, I can see him ending up in Washington backing up Jaden Daniels, as that's the closest opportunity he will get to getting back into a starting role. My goodness.
Wow, that's Mariota.
Yeah, that's him. He was hurt yesterday.
Oh man.
Yeah,
that's good stuff, man.
How
hey,
time
welcome
flies.
to the Gray Hair Club, buddy.
How time flies,
dude. But
he was the next big thing for Tennessee back in the day. I think that's where he originally landed.
Yeah,
and that was, I think, 4 big things ago for Tennessee.
Yeah, he walked in. He walked in. It was first
He
game.
He walked so Will Levis could run.
Yeah.
Versus Winston.
yeah. Number 1 versus number 2 overall pick. Marcus Mariota, number 2 overall pick back then. But I think there's going to be a time where the Browns have a decision to make with this quarterback room. Obviously, we talk about Dylan Gabriel, and that's more of an afterthought. But I do believe there's a stronger possibility, and we'll know throughout this week and after Saturday, what Shedeur Sanders' future looks like with the Cleveland Browns. Because, I don't mean to jump to conclusions. It could be as over as by the end of this upcoming weekend coming up, because with the injury to Mariota and that shaky quarterback room in Washington and other rooms still having some up-in-the-air stuff with their backups and even some of their starters, they might look to bring in a guy that they could just go, hey, it was Cleveland. It was a rough situation. We're bringing them in here. I'm not putting it past the Browns to move off them and just cut their losses, even if it is taking a 6th or a 7th rounder for them.
I'm not looking for Shedeur to go to if he were to go on the trading block, though, I'm not looking for him to go to a team that is looking for a backup quarterback. I don't see him as that right now. He's either going to be good enough to be the starter or he's still a project. That's kind of where I'm, so I don't think it'd be a team looking for a backup. I think it'd be like a Sean McVay, quarterback whisperer, guy who can develop dudes, who would grab them and, kind of take them under the wing for, Kyle Shanahan, have him be the 3rd stringer behind Purdy or something like that, and have him kind of go back to quarterback school, a la Sam Darnold, a la some of these guys who have kind of, flamed out early on, who were 1st-round picks and not 5th-round picks. Keep in mind that.
Yeah.
But maybe go to somebody that would be able to kind of develop the game a little bit more and don't have him worrying about trying to take a starting job right now.
But to that point, real quick, W, I just want to make this point that there's from the Sanders camp alone, they've mentioned that, there wasn't a lot of appeal in the draft of going to back up Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. That's the reason I bring up Washington, Rob.
Well, then the last 2 years have happened, though.
I get it, but they're still going to stand strong on that point. Whether it's right or whether it's wrong, they're going to stand on that point. And if they have any sort of say, and if the Browns try to do justice by Shedeur, which they don't owe it to him. I'm not saying that, but if they try to work it out that way, Washington would make a ton of sense because of the uncertainty injury-wise in that quarterback room for him to see the field again.
I hesitate to ask you guys this question, but would you guys? I applaud Todd Monken for having a plan. He's been fully transparent with his plan. I do applaud Todd Monken for that. Would you guys hate it if he just named Deshaun Watson the starter tomorrow? I wouldn't.
What else is being done, though? Like, there has to be another move announced, I feel like, in that quarterback room for me to have some certainty moving forward. Like, are you making a corresponding move and moving off of 1 or 2 of those young guys? Like, what are you doing?
I don't know if you need a corresponding move. I think right now, if we're talking about your guys needing as much reps as possible, like in my eyes, from what I'm seeing, I think they know who QB1's going to be. I know everyone wants to be fair about the situation, and I get it and I respect it. But if you have a good idea of who your QB1 is going to be, you're catering the practices towards the guy you want as the starter, having Watson do the full pads, lead the joint practices and stuff, then I think you're in a position where he needs as much reps as possible with the ones.
Whoever's going to be the one. Yeah, we're going to hit that point pretty soon where, like, you're going to need as many reps as possible to get ready to go, because clearly we need it. So, like, yeah, that's why I don't see this thing going, at the most extreme any longer than maybe through this weekend and what the Bills and that whole situation. So, like, because they're going to need a full week going into a game, preseason or not, that they know who the damn starter is, because we're hitting a point too where the team is going to, like, kind of need to know, like, it's who's the commanding officer in this whole platoon here, like, so like it's going to have to happen sooner than later. So to Double A's point, I wouldn't be angry if they pop Deshaun as the starter now, or the same way I would be about Shador. Like, make a decision. Just, the earlier you make a decision, the happier I'm going to be, because, I think if they don't trade anybody and if they can't keep this room intact, both of these guys are going to get a look. Dylan Gabriel's going to get a look. I'm sure there's going to be a free agent out there on a free agent list of quarterbacks that we're going to bring in off the street. What are is there any help of free agent quarterbacks coming in? Is there any?
I'm glad you asked.
What does the waiver wire look like? I think there's a Garoppolo wandering around. Speaking of guys that are old now.
Yeah, sure, it's pretty deep.
Let me put my glasses on. Let me get ready myself here. Okay, let's take a look at the NFL free agents right now. The best 2026 NFL free agent quarterbacks is per Sharp Football Analysis. So keep in mind, guys, the best options here. Now we have Jimmy Garoppolo, Jeff Driscoll, John Walford, Clayton Tune, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Tim Boyle, Jake Hayner, Desmond Ridder, Diego Pavia, Trevor Siemian. End list. That's the end of the list. You guys can respond now. You guys can any about any of those guys. Yeah, John Walford, Clayton Tune, anybody? Dorian Thompson, DTR. I mean,
we're talking about UFL and Diego Pavia is the funniest one. I think he'd be the only person that could really just make put a cherry on top of this shit Sunday.
Hey, Dylan Gabriel would be out there. He'd be like, I'm better than this guy, though. I'm definitely better than this guy. Like, what that is I'm, and I don't have the practical experiences. I'm sure they feel kind of the same way, like, a soldier in battle does, and you get, the message on the radio that no help is coming, that you are on your own. You are not getting air support. You are not getting reinforcements. You and you alone are going to have to figure out a way out of this mess. That's what that tells me. And that being said, if the injuries go the way that they do, this season is primed and ready to go for one of those gentlemen to get picked up off the street in week 11 and randomly have to start a game either that week or the week after that when somebody else snaps or blows out or throws too many picks or whatever the hell. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, Rob. And my last thing on this, I know we got to go to break. My last thing on this.
My point being, if the Browns get the number one overall pick, the fans are going to earn it this year.
Oh yeah, you're damn right. And my last thing is, as you gear us up for break, Rob. But my last thing on this, and I'll probably talk about this on primetime throughout the week, is the one thing to keep in mind. And I'm not saying you should be worried about it if you're a Browns fan or the head coach or whatever, front office, whatever. But we have seen quarterback battles where the fans have wanted one guy and the team has wanted other. And it becomes, obviously, and Double A's touched on it, the home crowd not rocking with Deshaun Watson. That's why I believe Shador Sanders, if he does not win the starting job, will not end up as a Browns quarterback in the regular season, at least not very long. With injuries that come up and everything, the Browns are going to decide, let's just move forward. Because if this is 2 years in a row, he hasn't won the starting gig, and he's going to come in and do basically relief middle of the year if it looks bad for Deshaun Watson, I don't believe the Sanders camp's going to be for that. And I don't think the Browns are going to want to hear the fans' noise when they're trying to just get to 2027, it appears, at quarterback.
I understand it with the fans, and I get it. Listen, it is what it is, and Deshaun has major red flags in terms of play. Shador hasn't earned it.
I agree.
To this
That
point,
was my
Shador
thing, is
Sanders
like,
has not
why
earned
do
an
we-
opportunity to start.
Right.
Why
I
do
agree.
we care that what Shador's camp thinks other than Dion is a part of it? Who has no power in this situation? He's a 5th-round pick. How many other 5th-round picks camps are we worried about how they handle a decision?
I get it. I'm just telling you that's how I stand on it. I believe that they are going to make enough noise because the last name is different than any other 5th rounder that we've talked about here in Cleveland. And because of the notoriety of Dion, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm telling you, though, I don't believe, my personal opinion, Shador Sanders will be on this roster past week 1, if he makes it there the regular season, as a Cleveland Browns quarterback because of necessity at different quarterback rooms in the NFL. And the Browns are going to want to hear the backlash of fans and them calling for Shador every home game. They're not going to want to do it. They've had that same thing happen in the past. I get different regimes, but they've seen it happen in the past. So they're going to want to probably get off of that and just move forward with a clean slate. And they've talked about it, and other reporters have mentioned it before, where Dylan Gabriel serves as your normal backup. He's never going to, you hope he never sees the field, but he's a guy who's just going to keep, kind of following the starter's lead. And then you have Taylor Green then as your project. You want to talk about projects? I'm agreeing with both of you when it comes to Shador hasn't earned it. I get it. I just don't think the Browns are going to want to hear the backlash throughout the regular season if they go with Deshaun Watson.
And I'm kind of with you, Eli, for this reason, because what is Shador Sanders' camp going to think about it? Is what is Parker Brailsford's camp going to think if he doesn't get the starting center's job? Is the juice really worth the friggin' squeeze right now with both of these guys? I mean, for different reasons. I'm not trying to compare anything that either one are doing to each other. But that's the problem right now, is that there is just so much bullshit associated with both of these guys that we're so freaked out about, how are they going to take it? How is the fans going to do that? We are talking about a 5th-round pick. And we are talking about a quarterback that hasn't looked like an NFL quarterback since the pandemic.
Right. That's
what we're talking about. What the last time Deshaun Watson was any good, was Andrew Luck still in the league then? That's how long we're talking here. Colin Kaepernick was still in our minds when Deshaun Watson was a good quarterback. So ultimately, hey, look at you. You're lucky that you signed the worst contract in football history that guaranteed a boatload of money and guaranteed you basically a roster spot on this goddamn team. You're a 5th-round pick. And like any 5th-round pick in the NFL, you should consider yourself lucky you're employed your 2nd year in the league. Look at the numbers and how many guys are here today and gone tomorrow. Bro, both of you are lucky to be here. Both of you are lucky to have a chance. One of you is going to be the starter. One of you is going to be the backup. I have a feeling that order is going to change periodically throughout the season. Deal with it.
And by the way,
what are we doing? This is all bullshit drama.
And the Browns, at least their social media team, they chose violence on Saturday morning when they had their post, hey, 1:00 kickoff. And it was just Deshaun Watson. So I don't think they really care anymore about public perception.
And ultimately, if both of you, with a gun to your head, had to bet every bit of your possessions on the following choices here for the Browns starting quarterback in 2027, Deshaun, Shador, somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, my mind is...
So we're ultimately doing this for a Band-Aid.
Yeah, my mind is, that's what and I said it on Prime Time last week. I said, it appears the way the Browns are handling this training camp, their mind is, what you kind of touched on earlier in the segment, Rob, about growing the rest of the offense under Todd Monken, seeing how this defense looks post Myles Garrett, and gearing up for 2027. And the hopes is that they can land their quarterback, whether it's a top draft pick in 2027, or there'll be some names out there, depending on how they do this season with their current teams, CJ Stroud, Baker Mayfield, other guys out there that you at least can have a conversation about. But it appears, the best thing you could hope for as a Browns fan offensively is that Denzel Boston makes a crazy rookie year jump, Fannin makes a jump, and those things like that. But that's where I'm at.
What we are worried about right now is the brand of a spare donut tire. That's what we're worried about, something we're going to put on the car and make sure the damn thing just stays on 4 wheels long enough to get to the next pit stop and get some work done on this son of a bitch. Like, I understand, we as football fans, as Browns fans, we want to talk about, the news of the day, and this is all we have. I get it. This is the team we're rooting for. This is the team we're following. I get it. But we have to take a step back and understand that, like, the chances of either one of these guys being a long-term solution for this team is 0 to none. Do we want to get a good look at these guys? Yes, we do. Do we want to make sure that the offense doesn't get completely stunted and completely screwed on their growth? Yes, we do. All the other bullshit is aside. They're 2 guys that are lucky to have jobs in the NFL. Let's just, it's not like, if they cut Shador, how many teams are going to be offering him a contract? Do we think it's going to be half the league? Do we think it's going to be a third of the league? Do we think it's going to be 2 or 3 teams? Let's slow our roll, guys. Let's just calm down. Speaking of calming down, after that Browns conversation, I think we all need to calm down. Let's take a quick break. Let's hear a word from our fabulous sponsors. AA, Eli, you go get some water. I'll smoke them if I got them. And then, yes, we'll reconvene in a couple of seconds here. We're going to keep going with the football here for a little bit. We got some Guardians combo coming up a little bit later on in the show. News and notes, of course. And then, obviously too. And we should probably feel bad, gentlemen. We did not take a moment of silence 5 minutes into the show out of respect for Jaden Daniels. Sooner than later, I'll get number 5's name right. We'll get into that bullshit too. And obviously, figure out what we've learned too. This is the main event here on the Inside Edge Net. I'm Rob. We got AA, Eli Moon, and we will be right back.
Give me 5.
Looking for an iconic Cleveland music venue that features premier entertainment, spirits, and food? Well, look no further than the Brothers Lounge. They offer a variety of live entertainment acts weekly, along with a diverse selection of beer, wine, and fine spirits, not to mention Chef Wynn's food menu, which has been crafted with traditional American fare with a modern twist. So come on out and enjoy the warm hospitality and make some new friends right here in your backyard. For more information, head over to brotherslounge.com and check them out for yourself at 11609 Detroit Road. That's right near the border of Cleveland and Lakewood. The Brothers Lounge, proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader.
Key On Sports is the leader in Ohio high school athletic coverage in written, print, and video streaming. From the latest news and results and written content to the high school football game of the week every Friday, Key On Sports has you covered. The vision of 15-time published author Vince McKee has become the most trusted site in Ohio high school athletic news. From podcasts to player profiles, Key On Sports is your one-stop for all of it. Visit them today at keyonsports.com or on YouTube at Key On Sports. Check out their socials on Twitter and Facebook as well.
Please support the new Inside Edge Network by liking, subscribing, and following us on your favorite social media platforms. That's at Inside Edge Net across Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, X, and IG. And don't forget to download our new app over on Roku. And as always, thank you for supporting your favorite shows on the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader for news, talk, sports, entertainment, and mental health. Fanatics isn't just our name, it's who we are. Loyal, passionate fans, dedicated to our favorite teams and to the sports we love. That's why we're honored to be able to offer fans the world's largest collection of official sports apparel and sports jerseys from all leagues, teams, and players you love. We feature a wide selection of gear from every league, including the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, and NCAA merchandise, which allows us to serve fans of football, baseball, hockey, basketball, lacrosse, soccer, golf, and everything else that gets your heart pumping. Go to InsideEdgeNetwork.com under our Partners section to find our link to check out all of what Fanatics has to offer. Fanatics, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Clean energy, bold flavors, no jitters. See why people won't shut up about Dubby. Whether you're starting your workday or getting ready to exercise, Dubby Energy helps you lock in and focus. Over 15 different flavors to choose from. Order Dubby Energy right now and find out more information by checking out our partners page on InsideEdgeNetwork.com. Also, use that promo code InsideEdge10 to receive 10% off your order. Dubby Energy, your energy-focused sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Discover our collection of handcrafted candles made with clean, minimal ingredients. Every product thoughtfully created in small batches free from harmful toxins for mindful everyday indulgence. Imported coconut soy wax with natural wood wicks to offer long-lasting burn and rich fragrance. Find out more about Alley Rose Fragrances by checking out their link on our partners page at InsideEdgeNetwork.com. And if you're a first-time customer, use the promo code InsideEdge20 to receive 20% off your order. AlleyRoseFragrances.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader.
All right, we are marching towards mid-August, and hopefully you guys had a great weekend. We talk about the Browns and how they looked against the Chicago Bears. And a big week for the Cleveland Browns. They're going to have joint practices with the Buffalo Bills. So we'll break down how the quarterbacks look. We'll break down how the rest of the roster look. Tom Monken's first preseason game as head coach of the Cleveland Browns. How's the operation of the offense? That's a big topic of discussion. We'll get into that coming up. Also, the Guardians, did they get any kind of a W this past weekend? We're in some troubled waters here with our baseball team. I hate to say it like that, but it is true. And also, we get you ready. Week 1 of high school football. This is an exciting time of the year because 2 days are done. Now it's getting yourselves ready for the calls, all of that stuff. We are excited. We're back with you. Another great week to be great. Midnight Run comes your way Monday night, 11:30, right here on the Inside Edge Network.
Clean energy, bold flavors, no jitters. See why people won't shut up about Dubby. Whether you're starting your workday or getting ready to exercise, Dubby Energy helps you lock in and focus. Over 15 different flavors to choose from. Order Dubby Energy right now and find out more information by checking out our partners page on InsideEdgeNetwork.com. Also, use that promo code InsideEdge10 to receive 10% off your order. Dubby Energy, your energy-focused sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader.
Hey there. Welcome back to the main event on the Inside Edge Net. I'm Rob. We got Double A, Eli Moon. And yes, we had a much longer than anticipated Browns quarterback conversation again. By the way, I figured out that we missed out on an advertising opportunity. We should have reached out to some sort of dumpster or waste management company to sponsor our weekly update on Browns quarterback drama. But nonetheless, here we are. We live and learn.
Yeah. We still have time, Rob. We still got 2 weeks of preseason.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is going to be up and down. And I would anticipate pretty quickly, too, that we're going to get some sort of power ranking list for college quarterbacks coming up very, very shortly if we are right in our talent evaluation process as fans and people that cover the team. But nonetheless, we got we were going to get to the Guardians here real quick, but just NFL-wide, did you guys notice with the rookie quarterbacks around the league? We got Mendoza now in playing for the Vegas Raiders. We got Ty Simpson also out west in LA. Do we count Will Howard as a rookie because he had that injury and never really played all year, and we never really saw him? But he's out there with Medina's own Drew Aller for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, all these younger quarterbacks are looking good, and I'm noticing the Dan Orlovskis of the world and the other talking heads are anointing this class as now maybe an underrated quarterback class or maybe a sneaky good quarterback class. Or are we taking any stock in this preseason debuts? I mean, these guys are one game in. Mendoza, I heard the stat that I loved was he became the first quarterback drafted number 1 overall to throw a touchdown in his debut since Baker Mayfield. Mm-hmm. So are we taking this as real data? I mean, they look good. I mean, you can say they all look good. We can run through all the numbers, but they all were, amazing completion percentage, responsible for a couple of scores apiece.
Yeah.
Like, do we take that as oh my God, we might have been wrong, or do we take that as, bro, it's August 14th and we're only a scant 7 months away from the Super Bowl?
So you have to walk a fine line, because I'm going to be very clear with both of you. I was there at Cleveland Browns Stadium back about almost 10 years ago. Deshaun Kaiser got some very significant preseason time that game.
Yeah, that guy.
He ran a touchdown in, and he like hyped the fans up. I was up in the upper section. He's throwing his hands up. Come on, get loud. And I'm like, come on, man. This is literally what we need. The luck of the Irish. He's a Notre Dame quarterback. We got him this time around. Brady Quinn didn't work out so hot, but this is the guy. He wasn't the guy. So you got to be careful, obviously, when it comes to – yeah, he was not the guy. But you got to be careful when you consider, obviously, preseason play in these rookies and these younger quarterbacks. It's good to see them doing what they're doing if they're playing well, and it's obviously not good if they're not playing well. But you shouldn't factor too much into it. I think it's a matter of who they're playing against, what string. Are they still going up against the twos or, threes? What's it look like there? And can they kind of carry a string of momentum? But ultimately, it's never going to really matter truly until you get a regular season rep, because we talk about the difference from training camp to preseason to regular season. There's a jump throughout all of that. So these guys would have to go through that. That's not to say Fernando Mendoza, because he looked good, isn't going to look good when he gets out there in the regular season. In fact, I was reading reports that Clint Kubiak was mentioning about maybe even giving him more first-team reps to kind of get him rolling a little bit more. So, yes, the good are going to look good typically, but I would say more so towards like your sleepers and your third, fourth round picks, those guys, be careful. Don't get Deshaun Kaiser fooled. Don't be fooled like Eli Moon, going home and calling your entire family and saying, we have the guy, Deshaun Kaiser. We had Kozar, now we have Kaiser. It was bad. But just be careful.
Are you kidding me? You can't. I can't wait to see the Las Vegas Raiders and the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship game.
It is.
Let's go.
There it is. Mike.
There it is. Let's go. Let's get after it. Hey, listen, all kidding aside, it's all about, you got to put something positive on tape, give these guys confidence. I mean, can they do it again next week? That'll be the real question. Can they do it again, in week 2 of the preseason and maybe week 3 if they get an opportunity to play? You go from there. I mean, I get more upset about seeing those performances because I know what our quarterbacks did here in Cleveland. They didn't do any of that. So, Drew Aller. And listen, folks.
Oh, don't do a double A.
Spade. Doris Sanders won some critical games late last season. Might have had a different quarterback in the room.
I think the question of which option at quarterback for the Steelers next year would annoy Browns fans more. Medina's own Drew Aller, Ohio State's Will Howard, or possible free agent to be Baker Mayfield. I think that would be an interesting conversation to have at a later date. However, what's up?
No. I was just processing what you just said. You're good. Yeah, just processing.
I just got a migraine processing that question.
Yeah.
Worries. It'll be the Steelers fracking Ohio yet again for football talent and trying to win a couple Super Bowls with it. It'll be awesome for everybody here in Northeast Ohio.
Just take Trubisky and move on with your day, okay? Damn.
Yeah. We tried that one. It didn't work.
I'm sitting here muttering, dang it. Like, I don't even have a strong point to bring. I'm just going, dang.
Where is Trubisky anyway? We didn't throw him on a list of pending, the free agent quarterbacks off this. Is he? I think he might be. The Browns might actually be seeing him coming up. I think he might still be Josh Allen's backup. I think
you're right. No, he's with the Titans.
Okay, I think we need at some point in time to have a game of 2 of name that backup quarterback. But I think when it comes down to these rookies, you look at the commonality between all of these rookies. Mendoza in Vegas with Mike McDonald. You look at McCarthy out there with the 2 Pittsburgh quarterbacks. Sean McVay with Ty Simpson. I think it's more of a compliment to a coach's ability to get a quarterback up and running for a game quickly. I think all four of those guys are known for being able to develop quarterbacks. Sam Darnold is why McDonald got his job in Vegas at this, or no, well, no, yeah, we're talking the OC.
Yep.
Yeah, Clint Kubiak. He was the quarterback whisperer out there. So that's, so you do have a lot of, good coaching, quarterback coaches with those guys too. So I think that has something to do with it too.
Yeah, and also in all those starting quarterback rooms, none of them are having to really worry about probably seeing the field if their team decides not to have them see the field. Aaron Rodgers, as long as he stays healthy, will be the starting quarterback for the Steelers all year long. You look in Vegas, they've already talked about a slow road, despite the talks of Kubiak giving more first-team reps throughout camp to Mendoza. You're going to see a lot of Kirk Cousins. That's their plan, is Kirk Cousins, who's, I guess, feisty throughout camp, him and Max Crosby duking it out. But you have Kirk Cousins there, and then you see some of these other quarterback rooms where they have certainty in play. So they're kind of also playing with, hey, I don't have to go out there and win the job. It'd be nice to, but in Mendoza's case, he's going to eventually get that gig. He's a number 1 overall pick. Howard and Drew Aller, they're waiting on essentially the end of the season for Aaron Rodgers to retire so that they can have their opportunity to become the next guy. So they're not feeling the pressure like a Shedeur Sanders is feeling, where it's, I can win the job, and if I don't win the job, I may never get a chance to be a starting quarterback again. There's an opportunity here with these guys where they're just able to mature in their systems. And to your point, Rob, under coaches that have been able to develop and bring the most out of their quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I think out of that bunch, Mendoza probably has the best chance of starting quickly. And it's nothing against Kirk Cousins, but the way you kind of describe, him starting to get these reps, first team reps in practice, it seems like Mendoza, number 1 overall, you can expect that out of him, is doing kind of what we want Shedeur to do and taking the job.
Yes.
I think he's giving the coaches no other option than to, promote him at this rate, no matter what you invested in Cousins. Because, he's all, maybe Simpson too. He'll be expected to take that starting gig sooner than later too. But, a lot of these guys are, they're in the incubator. They're not really expected to kind of do anything quickly. But yet, like with Mendoza, though, the plan has always been, he will be the starting quarterback of that team eventually. So if the future's now, the coaches will look around and say, hey, all right, the future's now, let's do it. Because they'd rather have him play than not.
Right.
Like if he can handle it, they'd rather have him play than not.
Right. And I think there's also, with those younger guys, there's a sense of urgency. To be fair, to not any NFL game film, you just have college game film. Compared to Shedeur Sanders, you do have NFL game film. But there is a sense of urgency with those guys stepping in. Like, they know their role, but they don't want to listen. Mendoza's not going to be there just to be the backup. Like, he's there to be the starter. Like, there is a sense of urgency that these younger guys kind of showed there. So it makes it interesting. Good performances by those guys. Certain teams can have this conversation. Others, like Atlanta, cannot have this conversation.
No.
And
No.
and Rob, to your point, and Eli, to your guys' point, it goes back the other way, where coaches that have credibility building quarterbacks, they're reaping the benefits.
Yeah.
Coaches that falsely have credibility building quarterbacks and now are getting exposed for not being able to build quarterbacks, you're seeing that play out too.
But I'm not going. But if we're going to go for the Browns to a second, I'm not going to put the Browns in that second column because again, you got a coach right now in Munkin who's not really known for developing quarterbacks. You have and really again, what can you develop with this situation happening?
I wasn't blaming the Browns. That was a shot at the Atlanta Falcons and Kevin Stefanski. That was a clear shot down. It was
dog shit, dude. I mean, like we talked about for a half a second that first segment, but yet, like, I think the only fan that has more dismal hope right now over their quarterback spot would be Atlanta fan. I think, what you got the Michael Penix. I'm rooting for him. I hope he does well. It's a great story, but we're talking about 4 or 5 major knee surgeries. We're talking about a bevy of other injuries. And then we have Tua who, let alone the concussions that we've seen on a very, very public level, had that hip injury at Bama, has had, arm, issues too throughout his career. Like he's been banged up too. And I think it was one practice in, it wasn't even a game in, that both of those guys were on the IR and they were on the injury report, and they were already signing, guys off the street.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think, I just can't wait to see how quarterback whisperer, quarterback guru Kevin Stefanski figures it out. Clearly he has a plan. He's probably gonna have to go watch the film or something and figure out where to go from here. But yeah, I mean, it's a mess in Atlanta. It's a mess in Cleveland. And I can't lie, guys, I'm a little bitter here tonight. I'm a little bitter because I remember what it felt like to get your first round draft pick, your highly touted quarterback, or at least a quarterback you felt very strongly with. And you go, you know what? This is the future. This is a top second, first, second round guy, maybe a third, early third. This is our guy. This is our guy. And you know what? The Raiders are doing it the exact right way. We're talking about a few of these young situations. I do want to just highlight the Raiders because they remind me, and I know you're going to laugh because we don't remind teams of the Browns when they're doing good, but when the Browns had it together in a good way, when they put the line in front of Baker Mayfield, they got a veteran quarterback in Tyrod Taylor. They had, I'd say a better receiver room than Vegas right now, but they had receivers there, and then they had a young running back, and the tight end was there too. Vegas is following the model of, well, hey, it's worked for other teams, and if it happens faster, to Double A's point, so be it. Obviously, Mendoza would like to start eventually. That's why he's in the spot he's in now. But they have a very foolproof plan in Vegas. In Pittsburgh, I'll give you credit, Rob. They're not foolproof because you have an older coach in Mike McCarthy, and you don't know what exactly it's going to look like after Rodgers. But at least they have something there where they feel very high on Drew Aller after Saturday, or this past week, and even Will Howard a little bit. And then you look at some of these other quarterback situations where you're like, man, they feel good. Like the Rams even feel good about maybe life after Matt Stafford. Is it Ty Simpson? And then here comes these bad situations, and it frustrates me that once we were that team that was like, hey, we got our first round pick. This is our guy. We're going to build around and we're going to do something. And so I'm just a little bitter tonight. Forgive me. But I'm watching the Raiders literally build it from scratch the way the Browns had done it 6-7 years ago, and it frustrates me.
Well, it should be frustrating, but I guess the bright side is I get with the way this team's kind of tracking right now is that you're about ready to start that process and start it again. You're watching the beginning of that now. You're looking to see, what's going on in college. You're looking to see what pieces you have on the offense that are going to be able to work well in the future. You're going to see if Rutenberg and that defense can hold up. And if he's going to be, I'm not going to expect the same kind of Jim Schwartz level right from the outset. He's a brand new DC, but, can he do what he's doing? The kid they picked up for Myles Garrett, is that going to be a good addition to the team? So you're going to be, we're starting that process now with a GM and Andrew Berry, who looks like all he needed was about 6 NFL drafts to figure everything out. And now he's doing it correctly. So there is some hope with what is happening, but I think with here, we can't have hope for a playoff run or a Super Bowl run. We just got to hope that this team is set up next year, either with the number 1 overall pick, with a good draft position and a good roster around it for whatever quarterback's going to come on in.
Yeah, and I guess the only, and my final point on this is my only frustration, though, is a lot of those teams we've been mentioning throughout this segment cleaned house, or at least get a complete revamp, whether it's front office or head coach.
Yeah.
And I know the Browns have a new head coach with Tom Monk, and you couldn't do any more years with Kevin Stefanski. It reaches the end of his tenure. But I brought this to Double A's attention throughout the week, even last week, off air, on air, about Andrew Berry. And I'm concerned still in terms of the quarterback position with Andrew Berry. I have no doubts that the draft class he had this past year, was phenomenal on the field. I think that this draft class will be pretty good. But can he spot a quarterback from the draft, from free agency, from whatever? So yes, Rob, we are gearing up for ideally that kind of situation, but you get one chance. And I don't know if I want Andrew Berry being the guy to get that one chance, because it could be another 3-4 years of middling football, being bad but not bad enough.
Well, and
so you do it again.
He's going to be the guy.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll point out too, I think he'll get that opportunity because it was a team effort in bringing in Deshaun Watson, the worst contract in NFL history. And the reason why Andrew Berry is with this team now is because of this draft class and last year's draft class.
Right.
So I think Berry unless the Browns go 0-17,
Yeah,
I think Barry will get an opportunity to draft or select, if it's a free agent, a quarterback in 2027.
It doesn't even have to.
The roster looks very promising.
Sure.
I don't think I don't know. I think 0-17 might. I think 0-17 might cost Monken his job before it costs Barry. If this draft class keeps tracking the way it does, yeah, Barry's a lock. He's going to be around. And yeah, you are right though, Eli. With you better get this decision right because you're not going to get another swing. No, this is it. So. Yeah, but at least with that, who knows where the Browns are going to be picking. If it is number one, it might be an obvious number one overall. If it is Eli's boy, Dante Moore, if it's, a Manning prodigy here, whatever's going down with that, or somebody else that we're not even thinking about. Nobody thought about Joe Burrow as the number one overall pick before that season started either. So with the way college football works, who the hell knows? But yeah, I mean, we'll see with all these quarterbacks too. Again, we'll just see.
We got to talk about next.
Yeah, we'll pause. And while we're talking quarterback situations, I'm sure everyone is acquainted with the story and the memes around the Commanders quarterback, Jaden Daniels, with the number 5 and LSU. Apparently, a cease and desist order has been issued to Louisiana State University about the name, image, and likeness of the former Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. And the internet had a reaction. And it all came down to the fact that the number of Daniels 5 was going to be issued to another player due to a promise in a recruiting visit. But he did not enjoy the disrespect of his number being recycled so quickly. And yes, the internet definitely had a reaction to it. We will react to it coming back and see. I'm pretty sure we're all going to agree where the internet was kind of falling on this one. But yeah, this is the main event on the Inside Edge Net. We'll talk Daniels. We'll talk a little Guardians coming up next. Also, too, we got news and notes to figure out what we've learned and try to get you out of here at some kind of decent hour. Again, main event Inside Edge Net. We got AA. We got Moon. I'm Rob. We'll be back.
Dine, drink, and dance at the premier spot in town. It's time to check out all of what our friends over at the Brothers Lounge have to offer. Everything from weekly live entertainment, a wide variety of different beers, wines, and spirits, and an expertly crafted American fare menu with a twist courtesy of Chef Wynn that'll make your mouth water. So, what are you waiting for? Head over to the Brothers Lounge at 11609 Detroit Road or check out their website, brotherslounge.com, to learn more about what you've been missing out on. Brothers Lounge, proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Whether searching for a baseball autograph by your favorite World Series slugger, a signed football by an iconic Hall of Famer, or the jersey of a world-famous soccer star, you've come to the right place. Here at sportsmemorabilia.com, the web's leading source for authentic sports memorabilia, you'll find more than 500,000 authentic products from nearly every professional sports league, team, and players. Not only will you find your next prized sports possession with ease, thanks to superb customer service and tremendous site experience, you'll have satisfaction and peace of mind that every product listed comes complete with a certificate of authenticity and is fully backed by the sportsmemorabilia.com lifetime authenticity guarantee. Check out sportsmemorabilia.com by heading over to the partners page on our website, InsideEdgeNetwork.com. SportsMemorabilia.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Discover our collection of handcrafted body mists made with clean, minimal ingredients. They offer a natural alternative to synthetic fragrances, perfect for sensitive skin and those seeking clean, mindful self-care, and the perfect gift for you and your special someone. Learn more about all Ellie Rose Fragrances has to offer right now by clicking the link on our partner page at InsideEdgeNetwork.com. First-time customers use that promo code InsideEdge20 to receive 20% off your order. EllieRoseFragrances.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Monster Moments Photography is a husband and wife wedding photography team based in Cleveland, owned and operated by Inside Edge Network's very own Ryan Mosser and his wife Hallie. For the past 10 years, they've captured more than 100 weddings across Northeast Ohio and beyond, always working together as a true two-person team. Their style centers on authentic, emotional storytelling, documenting the real moments between two people in love and creating images that feel natural, comfortable, and true to the couple. Rooted in Northeast Ohio, but inspired by their travels, Ryan and Hallie bring a warm, personal approach to every wedding day. Their work blends experience, consistency, and a genuine passion for helping couples relive their best day through timeless photography. Learn more by checking out Monster Moments Photography's link on our partners page at the InsideEdgeNetwork.com website. Monster Moments Photography, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Find us on InsideEdgeNetwork.com for the latest information on your favorite shows, personalities, and network partners. Plus, we have a merch shop. That's right, we have network polos, t-shirts, champion jackets, hats, and bottles. Rep the network. Every purchase supports independent sports and entertainment media. Thank you for your support from all of us here at the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader for news, talk, sports, entertainment, and mental health. Looking for an iconic Cleveland music venue that features premier entertainment, spirits, and food? Well, look no further than the Brothers Lounge. They offer a variety of live entertainment acts weekly, along with a diverse selection of beer, wine, and fine spirits, not to mention Chef Wynn's food menu, which has been crafted with traditional American fare with a modern twist. So come on out and enjoy the warm hospitality and make some new friends right here in your backyard. For more information, head over to brotherslounge.com and check them out for yourself at 11609 Detroit Road. That's right near the border of Cleveland and Lakewood. The Brothers Lounge, proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader.
Key On Sports is the leader in Ohio high school athletic coverage in written, print, and video streaming. From the latest news and results and written content to the high school football game of the week every Friday, Key On Sports has you covered. The vision of 15-time published author Vince McKee has become the most trusted site in Ohio high school athletic news. From podcasts to player profiles, Key On Sports is your one-stop for all of it. Visit them today at keyonsports.com or on YouTube at Key On Sports. Check out their socials on Twitter and Facebook as well.
Please support the new Inside Edge Network by liking, subscribing, and following us on your favorite social media platforms. That's at Inside Edge Net across Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, X, and IG. And don't forget to download our new app over on Roku. And as always, thank you for supporting your favorite shows on the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader for news, talk, sports, entertainment, and mental health. Fanatics isn't just our name, it's who we are. Loyal, passionate fans, dedicated to our favorite teams and to the sports we love. That's why we're honored to be able to offer fans the world's largest collection of official sports apparel and sports jerseys from all leagues, teams, and players you love. We feature a wide selection of gear from every league, including the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, and NCAA merchandise, which allows us to serve fans of football, baseball, hockey, basketball, lacrosse, soccer, golf, and everything else that gets your heart pumping. Go to InsideEdgeNetwork.com under our Partners section to find our link to check out all of what Fanatics has to offer. Fanatics, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Clean energy, bold flavors, no jitters. See why people won't shut up about Dubby. Whether you're starting your workday or getting ready to exercise, Dubby Energy helps you lock in and focus. Over 15 different flavors to choose from. Order Dubby Energy right now and find out more information by checking out our partners page on InsideEdgeNetwork.com. Also, use that promo code InsideEdge10 to receive 10% off your order. Dubby Energy, your energy-focused sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Discover our collection of handcrafted candles made with clean, minimal ingredients. Every product thoughtfully created in small batches, free from harmful toxins for mindful everyday indulgence. Imported coconut soy wax with natural wood wicks to offer long-lasting burn and rich fragrance. Find out more about Alley Rose Fragrances by checking out their link on our partners page at InsideEdgeNetwork.com. And if you're a first-time customer, use the promo code InsideEdge20 to receive 20% off your order. AlleyRoseFragrances.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader.
Welcome back to the main event here on the Inside Edge Net. I'm Rob Rozycki. We got AA Anthony Alford and Eli Moon. And as promised, let's just get into it quickly because we are still trying to make up some lost time from that first segment. We've been talking Browns the whole way. We also been talking a little rookie quarterbacks. There is another quarterback who does not play for the Browns and is not a rookie, who is making a lot of headlines right now, and that is the quarterback of the Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels. We teased it last break, kind of described it a little bit. He has sent a cease and desist order to Louisiana State University, that is a school he played for a season, won the Heisman Trophy there. But an August 5th letter was sent to the Tigers athletic director, Verge Osbury, who might have the best name in college sports.
Yeah.
They cannot use his name, image, or likeness while advertising or marketing the team. And that stems from the fact that they gave away his number to another player, DJ Pickett, a transfer portal corner. In his second year in college football, he will be wearing 5 for LSU. He is a highly touted transfer. They want him there. But it looks like the former quarterback of the Tigers is a little pissed off, and the internet had some words. A lot of just general mocking and general jokes being thrown around. The memes have been classic. What are we thinking about this one, gentlemen, with the fact that the quarterback of the Commanders in his third year, which from what I hear is a pretty big year when it comes down to young quarterbacks in the league, caring about what his college team is doing and what numbers they're issuing out?
Yeah, I think Jaden Daniels is picking the wrong battle right now. Yeah, I think he is picking a battle that really shouldn't even be a discussion right now. It's a guy, like you said, Rob, to your point you just brought up. This is the third year for Jaden Daniels. It's a lot of times where we see quarterbacks being talked about for their fifth year option, whether it's going to be picked up or if they're going to sign a new contract or if they're just going to kind of let it play out and go from there. Jaden Daniels had a strong rookie season. They went to the NFC conference, the conference championship, right? They also had high hopes in year 2. Injuries and things like that got in the way, but this is a really important year 3. And, I just mentioned about how Mariota went down. There's really no safety net for the Commanders. So really all eyes are on Jaden Daniels when it comes to Washington and a team that really is hoping that they can get back to at least playoff talk and maybe in the mix there. But wrong battle for him to be choosing. This is the guy that literally played one season at LSU, didn't win a national championship. I know he won the 3rd Heisman in school history. I get that. But he didn't win a national championship. And there's been other guys that have had their jersey numbers worn literally the year after. Like, I don't know, the number 1 overall pick for the Raiders, Fernando Mendoza, whose number is being worn, I believe, this year by Indiana. You've seen it in the past. Tim Tebow's iconic Florida jersey number 15, has been worn by Florida players. So, we've seen this done before. I think Jaden Daniels and his camp is absolutely tripping right now. They are picking the wrong battle, and I think they're losing a lot of goodwill. Remember, Jaden Daniels was a guy a lot of people were like picking to be the next star of the NFL after his rookie season. Hey, this guy just took him to the NFC Conference Championship game. Like, this is a guy that can literally guide them for the next 10, 12 years. And now we're talking about a pivotal year 3 and a bunch of noise from a year you spent in college. I just think it's a silly battle to have, and you better hope you do well this year. And that's not, it's up to you. It's, Jaden Daniels, not on me, but hopefully you do well, because if not, the critics are going to be even louder. And if you have a bad year, you're definitely not getting signed to a contract extension, which means you're playing essentially for your 5th year option or maybe a smaller contract in year 4. That's where I would be at. I don't know who in the camp. I kind of have an idea, but I don't know who in the camp, we don't have an exact name that said this, but whoever's giving Jaden Daniels this, information or speaking on his behalf is doing a pretty poor job of it, because this guy went from one of the most likable guys in the NFL. And I'm not saying he's one of the most hated, but it's definitely like, all right, bro, are you serious, man? Do something. Like you had one good year in college, and that's not to discredit him. He's a good player. You had one standout year in college, and you're acting like you should be heralded, where some of the guys I just mentioned have done more at their universities and haven't had their numbers retired. That's my thought.
I think here, and there's an uncomfortable conversation we're going to have about the last point Eli just made about who might be. We're about 2 minutes away from that. There's an uncomfortable because, I'll just say this. I think, first off, there's a ton of battles that college athletes, college football players especially, being the biggest revenue drivers in college sports, there are a lot of battles they can pick, and a lot of battles where I would be on their side, and a lot of battles where they should have more of an advantage over. This ain't one of them. This is not one of them. I would discuss it with the guys. I'm like, I don't know how many jersey numbers I even remember, and I think a lot of it across the board in sports, I think a lot of it, honestly, is because sports these days are very transactional. Very. I was even thinking from a pro standpoint, I'm like, how many players play for more than one team? Like,
Right.
if you can remember somebody playing for a team, Michael Jordan, number 23. I know you had a couple years with the Wizards. That was after retirement. But basically, one team, number 23, Michael Jordan.
Well, he wore 23 with the Wizards, too.
And with the Wizards.
He had that little kerfuffle, I think, the year he came back with 45. But, yeah, I mean, we all know that was a technicality. It wasn't his choice.
Right. But I think, though, overall, because in the pros, players are transactional in terms of where they're going. We don't have that many Tom Brady staying with one team for 95% of their career, with New England, where number 12 makes sense. So that's the pros. Now, when you get to college, where most rosters, you have 85 to 90 players on your roster, where in most cases you have offensive and defensive players with the same number. So we're going to strike one particular number from the record because you were only there for 1 year. And Jaden Daniels, by the way, guys, from reports, it seemed like he wanted this to be brushed off. Like this was going to be a little bit of a, we're going to take care of this on the side. Don't worry about it. You know, when we get to week 1 of football season, you won't even talk about it. But no, this is a huge deal. You got me, Rob. You got us on this show defending Lane Kiffin.
I was thinking that we found a situation so preposterous that Lane Kiffin is actually the good guy. And my thing, and you mentioned the transactional nature of this whole beast, and the fact that college football is now transactional, just like the pros. It's hypocrisy in a lot of ways. That whenever the player has to abandon a team and go to a new situation, hey man, it's just business. You know, I'm looking out for me and my family. I'm looking out for my career and my legacy. I'm looking out for me. It's business, right? That's all it is. But whenever the team does the same thing and move on, and it's not because they had, it's not like they didn't cut Daniels. I mean, he just, ran out of eligibility. But whenever the team moves on, then it's personal. Then it's, then it's disrespect. Then we're worried about them tarnishing my name. No, they're doing the same thing you're doing. And that's worrying about for their own best interests, which again goes back to business. So if it's business on one side, why isn't it business on the other? And and again, we're talking about literally the most frivolous detail of a career. Like we talk a lot of numbers with careers. We talk about passing yards, touchdowns, wins, Super Bowls, all pros, interceptions, all those numbers we talk about, completion percentage. But yes, of course, we, when we're shooting the shit in the garage, having a couple of beers or whatever, okay, greatest number 12, greatest number 2, greatest number 7, whatever you want to go with. But it's meaningless.
Right.
Are you meaning to tell me that Terry Bradshaw would have won the same amount, different Super Bowls if he wasn't number 12? Or, Dan Marino would have won a Super Bowl if he wasn't, the number he was. So, ultimately, we're talking about the most frivolous, dumb detail of a career. And, I'm even rolling my eyes that, the corner that they brought in who's wearing 5, one of the things that lured him in was that they promised him 5. It was that important to that player, too. You know, when he's sitting here going, I've worn it for my entire life, so on and so forth. Okay, I get it, but again, we're haggling. Like I feel like Allen Iverson talking about practice.
Yeah.
We're talking about numbers, folks. We're talking jersey numbers, folks. Like,
yeah.
and
Now,
this is a week old now.
Yeah, the only thing I would say about Pickett and I don't know. Obviously, we haven't heard anything about maybe why the number means a lot to him. I think it is kind of crazy that determined it a little bit, but it may mean something in terms of family or whatever. Some guys pay homage to their family, so maybe it's something he's worn because of something that's happened in his life. Whatever. I'm just trying to make reason or sense why he would want that number as badly as he did. But here are two things. One, it's clear as day.
Eli, real quick, let me answer what you just said here. Quoted from ESPN.
Yeah.
Pickett said he worn that number his whole life since he was 4 years old. It's the number I was promised by LSU. I wish Jaden the best, good player, and he did real good here. So that's all. So that was it.
Yeah. Just curious if there's like some more meaning behind that double. I know he had wore it, his whole life. I'm just curious, some people choose it for like, a family member they rocked with or whatever it is. I'm just curious if there's like deeper meaning there too. But regardless, LSU's policy. Their policy put it out in January of 2007 that there literally is no retired player numbers anymore. It's right in the policy for LSU. Right here. For any jersey honor after 2007, the retirement applies strictly to the jersey display and recognition rather than freezing the number. Current players can wear the number with approval from the head coach. So again, there's nothing LSU has done wrong policy-wise even. It's in the policy that is clear for anybody to read.
It's not even a technicality. They didn't do anything wrong even ethically.
Correct. But I'm saying even policy-wise, if you want to go, well, was it in the rules or this or in the handbook, whatever, it is. It's actually clear as day in the handbook, the policy that you cannot be mad about something that is literally from LSU saying we're not retiring numbers. Since 2007, we're not doing that. Anybody previous, that's a different discussion. Here's what it really solves, and then I'll hand it back to you, AA. Here's the thing. The thing that could solve all this, guys, is a ring of honor. We see it here in Cleveland Browns, obviously, and I know the numbers are usually attached, but even if you put the names up and put the number, you could have the number up multiple times on a ring of honor and not retire the jersey. That's, I think, where teams in pro, college, everything should shift to. Ring of honors. I know you made to make the font a little bit smaller for some of these guys. I get it. But that's how you're going to avoid some of these issues in the future because this is literally crazy. We talk about football stories that take up time before the regular season. This is it. And this is disparaging one of the young quarterbacks in the league, and it's his own doing, his own camp's doing.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's not make Daniel sound like the victim here.
No, he's not. He's him and his camp are the reason why this is a story.
Again, though, the sentimentality kind of gets thrown out. Everyone talks about, was there a connection with the number, family thing? Like, what if I'm a baseball player and I wanted to wear my dad's number, who, I lost young and he was a hero of mine, but his number's 42.
Right.
Guess what? I might have to wear 24 or 84 or some derivative for 42 divided by something.
Right.
Guess that's just how the cookie crumbles.
Right.
But things, it happens. And, if you're lucky enough to get the number, you're lucky enough to get the number. But again, this is what we're talking. And and we're now, in Daniel's case, he was dumb enough to, his camp anyway was dumb enough to, put this letter out there to get pissed off about it. And now it's his own doing. There's nothing to talk about in training camp. So guess what? We're devoting an entire segment of a show that I'll guarantee you, if this story popped up in week 7, we'd hit it in news and notes and move on with it because it'd just be a funny thing and there's other shit to do. Mm-hmm. So while we're sitting here in training camp and there's not much else to talk about, he just decided to make himself look like a douchebag in front of the entire NFL fandom.
And all right, we're not beating around the bush. Who represents Daniels?
Mama not Daniels? A conventional agent.
Yeah,
it is.
Sorry. Yeah.
He is kind of in the Lamar Jackson camp where it is family, and from all accounts, his mom is pulling the strings on this.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna just say this: I love my mom. I love my mom to death. I'd do anything for my mom, and if I was in trouble, and she's like, I have a belt, you about to get a whooping. I don't care if we're taping this show. I'm going to have to step out and get punished. That's just that. Yep. I don't care if age doesn't matter. With that being said, under no circumstances would I want my mom, who I love dearly, to be in a business capacity of that function, because it's two different things between mother-son in that family relationship and now business. Because if I was advising Jaden Daniels, I would tell him he would have to fire his mom.
Because like there's a difference between
this should not happen.
There's a difference between feeling like your client has been disrespected and feeling like your baby boy has been disrespected. It hits completely different. And I think it was Magic Johnson. Somebody asked him for a basic bit of business advice, and Magic Johnson obviously has done well post playing. And he said that any sort of pitch that he gets, if it's a sports team for billions of dollars, if it's a couple $1,000s for his buddy's startup, a bar, whatever, if the key people in the equation, the people running the business, the inner circle, are family, he balks. He walks away, because then all of a sudden you're not the CEO because you're good at being a CEO. You're the CEO because you're the owner's brother. You are not a high level executive because you're good at your job. It's because you're the owner's wife or his mom or whatever. And I think this kind of applies here. I think, there are some jobs that are meant for people who aren't in family. And I think there should be a line there. Like, and I would even say this, if his mother, and I don't know anything about her background, but I'm suspecting this isn't the case. If she was Drew Rosenhaus, if she was a 20-year agent before her kid got in the league, I'd still be a little iffy about mom representing son. Because again, there's a difference between your client being disrespected or feeling disrespected and your baby boy feeling disrespected. The last thing you need as an agent is to let that mama bear instinct kick in, because what's good for the boy in that situation may not be good for business, and the agent's job is to figure out what's good for business.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of things to take away with this too, with this Jaden Daniels stuff. Another thing I'm reading here, I was reading over the last week, right? With this going on, there's a contractual 180-day post-college grace period for LSU to stop, using his NIL, or using his likeness for, NIL. If they had such a problem, which is why this looks even crazier, because it all happened after the number 5 was issued. If they had such a problem with LSU using, his likeness and all this stuff and everything like that, then they would have stopped it after the 180 days, which to my knowledge would have ended about halfway, if not the end of his rookie season. So this is just like a whole big shitstorm, for lack of better words, where there's a lot of holes to poke through in the argument. And what I will say, I was just looking up, Rob, because we were talking about Mama Daniels and her background. She does have an MBA in entrepreneurial businessship. Her degree's in hospital administration. So again, she has entrepreneurship a little bit, but again, to your point,
she's educated. I'm not saying she's dumb or anything like that. This is not
right. To both your points, she's not the Drew Rosenhaus, the Rich Pauls of the world that have been doing this on a day-to-day basis for different agents and things like that are going in and out in these different business meetings. So all respect to her. She's definitely a knowledgeable woman, but she's putting her son in a very bad spot, and it's hard to recover from this. We talk all the time for different reasons about off the field stuff coming onto the field. And Jaden Daniels and his camp, more importantly, his camp, has put a ton of pressure on the guy before the season even started. Nobody, let's be clear, nobody was talking this much about Jaden Daniels last week before all this stuff went down. It was when it did come up, hey, is Jaden Daniels going to have a bounce back year? How the Commander's going to look? And Laramie Tunsil's out at left tackle. How are they going to look? Now it's a whole, hey, the pressure's on Jaden Daniels. You think you're number 5, you think you're that dude, then show us.
Yeah, nobody had a negative word to say about Jaden Daniels. If you did, it was football reasons and can he recover from the injury. But I do want to push back a little bit on the point that you made. I would even, if Rich Paul had a son.
That's what I'm saying. If she was Drew Rosenhaus.
Because I'm not questioning the qualification. Obviously his mom knows what the heck she's doing. Right. Obviously. Right. And the same thing. But I think there's a difference between, I'll put it this way, a difference between a parent representing you and a best friend representing you. Like Rich Paul and Maverick Carter they represent LeBron James. It's all business. They're within the best interest, and they could they're going to root for them to do well, but they could take emotion out of it and be completely business driven.
And in their situation, they're peers. Like they're shoulder to shoulder. No matter what, your mama's your mama. Like she tells you to do something, you're going to do it.
Right, I get that. But I think
that's why I was just saying real quick. I think in this situation, if we're and this is, we don't have confirmation that it was the mom. I just want to be clear that we don't have confirmation.
It's
but if
just
we hear, exactly, if we hear that it was mom leading the charge here, she thought like a mother and went with emotion first, and fathers do the same thing. This is not a sexist thing. The parent thought with their emotion first instead of business.
Right. And I agree. And it's definitely a little bit deeper in terms of parent to son or whoever, right? I get that. But I'm just saying other guys have been able to navigate. I understand not a parent to son, but still navigate very close relationships and still handle business. So I don't think it would be any different if she had other representatives before.
Well,
but the thing to keep in mind as well is, yes, this is her son. This is also her first rodeo dealing with NFL teams, executives, things like that when negotiating these types of deals.
Yeah, and how many first-time agents too? Like the first contract you negotiate in the NFL is going to be a quarterback max contract. Like
right.
That's we're hitting the ground running here, and then you also couple that, and I think this should not be ignored too. And you saw it happen with Lamar and his deal. That if you don't have a conventional agent, there's a couple of things that'll happen. Mm-hmm. It's not a conventional process to get the contract done. Right. There's not and it could be a different process for every person involved, but it's not one the GM or the owner is used to or can control or anything along that line. Mm-hmm. And then considering that, it is something the NFL behind closed doors, I'm sure they can't say it publicly. They don't want this. They want the conventional agents. They want the things done the quote unquote right, or at least the established way, because that's the way they can control those negotiations. They know the rigmarole with all these agents, with the way the process is done. If it's not a familiar process, then you do get more drama. Then you might have to pay out more money than you were expecting. It's not a process they can control. They want to control as much as they can. And you know what? If it's Lamar, if it's Daniels, whoever it is, they could have a superstar parent as an agent who does everything the right way, navigates the relationship with the child, navigates the relationship with the business side of things. It could be 100% dead on. And the way the NFL media and the NFL will work is they will find one little crack in that armor and exploit it and make them look crackpots, make them look idiots, make them look like amateurs. And this might be what they have been looking for. They don't want this process to be this way. They want the process, rightfully, wrongfully, indifferent, to be what it is, dealing with the union and dealing with a conventional agent working for a conventional agency.
Well, let me be clear about this though too. This is going to be the norm though. The NFL can wish for that. This is going to become the new norm. Whether we love it or we like it or we hate it or whatever. That's going to become the new norm. And I know we sometimes, we dissect as sports fans and media, we dissect, hey, how much has NIL impacted this or that? Let's think about, these parents already were very invested. You're a parent, your son's going to college, your daughter's going to college, whatever. We'll use son for the case of the NFL route. You're going to college, and it used to be you're just excited about what school they're going to for school pride. And then they can go to the NFL and maybe you get into it. Usually you don't see that. But over the last 5 to 10 years, you've seen more moms, dads becoming more involved in the situation because of the NIL money they're getting in college. So they're already able to negotiate at an earlier level.
And they have confidence and they have experience doing it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
The best way I heard it put was that with NIL now, college football has about 500 Uncle Dennises with the Kawhi Leonard stuff.
Exactly, because now it's not just as soon as you're out of high school, once you're making that decision.
Sometimes when you're in high school.
Correct, but you're getting paid substantially more money. Obviously, when you make that a college route, I know high school, obviously NIL and stuff too, but you're getting substantially more money in college, and your parents, that's their first decision as your agent. I know we like to do the quotations from time to time, but it's your agent.
Representative, yeah.
They're representing you. You're in the same household as your mom and dad for that last few months after you decide where you're going to college. So that's your first big deal, your first big payday. So they already in their minds have experience negotiating. Well, hey, we got you to this college, that college. We're going to do the same in your NFL career.
Let me throw this in. What if Jaden Daniels and his team actually wins this case? I'm not saying they will, but let's just say that they do. What gives LSU can't promote him in any way, shape, or form. If you're talking about you want your universities, and alumni say this all the time. Hey, keep tabs with alums. Make sure that we feel included in terms of school history and what we have done. Just keep us in the loop on things. LSU legally at that point really can't honor Jaden Daniels. So if that's why I'm saying, like, there's a lot of battles you could choose here. And I understand Brian Kelly said one thing and then Lane Kiffin did the opposite. I can understand being upset about that. And I think that's kind of the core of this. But now that you've thrown legal terms into this, now you can't blame LSU if they choose not to honor you in any way, shape,
I think that's exactly what will happen. I think this will take care of itself. I think if Lane Kiffin is as advertised, or at least as good as Lane Kiffin thinks he is, and they're in contention for a CFP title, if they're in the semifinal, something like that, and you got the quarterback who wants to get the cool tickets and be honored and get the pat on the back for a living legend, all of a sudden I think that litigation might go away. Because I think I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be some sort of resolution to this before this really gets out into court and gets into a situation. I wouldn't, because the way, like, I don't think, like any move like this, Daniel's camp did not think it was going to play like this across sports, because this isn't really an NFL story anymore. This is a sports deal. Like I heard, I saw the scoreboard for the Columbus Clippers. They actually they got a player that wears 5. They took the number off him on the scoreboard out of respect. So everybody's kind of hitting this, and I think that they're going to, if they're intelligent, if they know what's going on, they're going to realize that keeping this fight going is going to do nothing but hurt them. And what are they going to get out of it? I don't think they're looking for any financial damage. So they're really just looking at LSU not being able to use that number.
Right.
So, okay.
Yeah. And to answer your point,
or use the NIL, use the image of the
right, exactly. Yep.
And to answer your point, this is my final point, I think, on this, because Jaden Daniels should not be getting this much airtime for a guy that literally is a up and down quarterback in the NFL. But here we are.
Hey, he could be tier 1 by the end of the season. Okay.
Sure could.
He could also be tier 4.
He could, sure. Exactly. But what I'll say is, if they do win the case, to answer your hypothetical here, AA, if they win the case, I think there's another route too. They could back up on it immediately and go, no, we want to be honored, during the playoff games, or his camp and them win, Daniels, the camp, they win this case. They sit sour on it. We did it. And then Jaden Daniels, when he's 50, 60 years old, and they're bringing back all, the LSU alums and everything, and he's not honored then, he's going to sit there like, damn, I really let my camp and everybody negotiate 40-something years ago for something I had to feel for the rest of my life. So he may win this case. There's also the other side where he wins this case. He goes, cool, I won. I don't care right now. I don't care. I'm in the NFL. Who cares? But when you're an older retired player and you only really have 2 allegiances as of right now, we'll see where the rest of his NFL career takes him. Mm-hmm. But you're only at this point going to be honored by Washington and LSU. That's really the only 2 places you can be honored. Arizona State isn't pulling out the red carpet for you for leaving them in the transfer portal. So this could be a case where he wins it and just sits on it like, I did it. And then later on in life, Jaden Daniels regrets some of the decisions that were made by people that he may not even be cool with when he's in his 60s.
I like that. I like that. 2 final points for me. One on the comp tickets that Rob was mentioning. If he continues to go down this path and there is no settlement, he will not be one of the celebrities on the sidelines if LSU's in the college football playoff. So again, can't honor him. So.
Think about it this way, and I'm not trying to compare the personalities or the reason why they would flame out, but the way where Daniels is at, if he flames out in the NFL, LSU to Daniels is A&M to Manziel.
Correct.
That's the only spot he would be the dude.
Correct.
That would be the only spot where people are buying you drinks, people are toasting your greatness, that you are the man. And I don't know, that might not be important to him. He might not give a shit about that. Or he might care about that in 20 years when, the beard looks a little bit closer to mine than Anthony's right now.
Right.
So, that's going to be something that'll be thrown in there too. I would assume that maybe sooner than later there is going to be a resolution, but yeah, I mean, at this point, though, if I'm LSU, I'm telling him to kick rocks at this point.
And then my final point, and this will be quick here. So The Athletic has an article about this whole story. They pulled up a review of the past 15 Heisman winners.
Yup.
How many of those Heisman winners, how many of them, like the numbers, are being worn in 2026? Out of 15, 11 players of those numbers are being worn by at least one player, including last year's winner, Fernando Mendoza. Somebody's already wearing his 15.
Yes.
Bryce Young, Devontae Smith, Derrick Henry. Also, Oklahoma has re-signed Kyler Murray's number and Baker Mayfield.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, Caleb Williams, who spent some time at Oklahoma and USC, I'm pretty sure his number is being worn at USC right now, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong on that one, but I think Caleb Williams is also being worn too.
It says here, Colorado has retired Travis Hunter's number 12.
Yep.
Louisville retired Lamar Jackson's number 8. Now, Joe Burrow's number 9 and Caleb Williams number 13, LSU and USC. They're not being worn in 2026, but they're not retired.
Right. And so I mixed it up a little bit there with Williams, but the point still stands. And then I'll hand it back to you, Rob, to send us to the old break ski. But what I'll say is, stop tripping, Jaden Daniels. Stop tripping, Daniels Camp. You're really, I hate to break it to you, when it comes down to top 50 collegiate players all time, you're not there. Like, that's what we're talking about when we talked about in this segment. We were bringing up guys like Tim Tebow, a top 25, I'd argue, if not higher, college football player all time. You're talking about guys like,
all time, and probably a number 1 or number 2 all time Florida Gator.
Exactly, like an ambassador for the school. Everything he's doing, like Tebow. You look at the guys you mentioned, Mendoza, Henry, all these guys. We're talking about the greats of the greats, guys that won a national championship in most cases, won a Heisman as well, but they also had the title to back it up, and they were there multiple years. Unfortunately, the transfer portal has also eliminated the idea of legends at schools. Because how can you be a legend at a school if you did 1 year? If Darian Mensah, and then I'll hand it back to you, Rob, but if Darian Mensah goes out there at the U and he has a good year, I don't think he will. Spoiler, I think Mensah's very fool's gold. But if he does look good, is the U going to go, yeah, thank you. You're the U, man. Let's retire your number. Like, you're a mate. No, he spent 1 year there. Guess what? If you want a legacy and you want to be honored, you got to give the school some loyalty too. It goes both ways. We argue about the schools not being loyal, the coach not being loyal, but the players haven't been loyal either. So hence, why should we be loyal and honor a number? You honor things, you retire things when you want to pay homage to somebody that was loyal or paid a great impact. And the only impact Jaden Daniels is leaving is post LSU and all this bullshit. Back to you, Rob.
I was looking up to, if you actually take a look at his numbers, Daniel's numbers are comparable. He might not even be the best number 5 in Redskins Commanders history. Donovan McNabb also wore 5 there for the year that he played.
Yeah. Dude.
And if you take, speaking of Miami, though, if you look at Cam Ward, Heisman Trophy winner a couple of years ago with Miami, same situation, won the Heisman, didn't win a Natty, but still a pretty good year. There isn't a player on Miami wearing number 1 next year or this year. There's 2.
Dude.
Malachi Toney, who is going to be up for the Heisman Trophy this year if he is as good as advertised. Yeah. And then they got Mohamed Torre, a linebacker. So both, one offense, one defense, but they have 2 guys wearing number 1.
Me and Double A just do like the double alley oop to you, and you just slam that thing home, bro. There ain't nothing else for us to say, brother. Send us to break. There ain't nothing else to say.
Yes. All right, let's go to break quickly. We'll talk some Guardians coming up next. They are now swirling the drain. We don't know if they're going to be able to kind of stick and float around a little bit here, or if they're just going to go down with this mercy flush. Losers of 2 out of 3 against the Padres. They got the Giants coming up next, and they're going to go out west. We'll get into that a little bit, go through some news and notes, try to get out of here as fast as humanly possible, and get you going here on your way on this Sunday night. This is the main event on the Inside Edge Net. We got Anthony Alford, Eli Moon. I am Rob Rozycki. We'll be back.
Dine, drink, and dance at the premier spot in town. It's time to check out all of what our friends over at the Brothers Lounge have to offer. Everything from weekly live entertainment, a wide variety of different beers, wines, and spirits, and an expertly crafted American fare menu with a twist courtesy of Chef Wynn that'll make your mouth water. So, what are you waiting for? Head over to the Brothers Lounge at 11609 Detroit Road or check out their website, brotherslounge.com, to learn more about what you've been missing out on. Brothers Lounge, proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Whether searching for a baseball autograph by your favorite World Series slugger, a signed football by an iconic Hall of Famer, or the jersey of a world-famous soccer star, you've come to the right place. Here at sportsmemorabilia.com, the web's leading source for authentic sports memorabilia, you'll find more than 500,000 authentic products from nearly every professional sports league, team, and players. Not only will you find your next prized sports possession with ease, thanks to superb customer service and tremendous site experience, you'll have satisfaction and peace of mind that every product listed comes complete with a certificate of authenticity and is fully backed by the sportsmemorabilia.com lifetime authenticity guarantee. Check out sportsmemorabilia.com by heading over to the partners page on our website, InsideEdgeNetwork.com. SportsMemorabilia.com, proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Discover our collection of handcrafted body mists made with clean, minimal ingredients. They offer a natural alternative to synthetic fragrances, perfect for sensitive skin and those seeking clean, mindful self-care, and the perfect gift for you and your special someone. Learn more about all Alley Rose Fragrances has to offer right now by clicking the link on our partner page at InsideEdgeNetwork.com. First-time customers use that promo code InsideEdge20 to receive 20% off your order. AlleyRoseFragrances.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Mosser Moments Photography is a husband and wife wedding photography team based in Cleveland, owned and operated by Inside Edge Network's very own Ryan Mosser and his wife Hallie. For the past 10 years, they've captured more than 100 weddings across Northeast Ohio and beyond, always working together as a true two-person team. Their style centers on authentic, emotional storytelling, documenting the real moments between two people in love and creating images that feel natural, comfortable, and true to the couple. Rooted in Northeast Ohio, but inspired by their travels, Ryan and Hallie bring a warm, personal approach to every wedding day. Their work blends experience, consistency, and a genuine passion for helping couples relive their best day through timeless photography. Learn more by checking out Mosser Moments Photography's link on our partners page at the InsideEdgeNetwork.com website. Mosser Moments Photography, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Find us on InsideEdgeNetwork.com for the latest information on your favorite shows, personalities, and network partners. Plus, we have a merch shop. That's right, we have network polos, t-shirts, champion jackets, hats, and bottles. Rep the network. Every purchase supports independent sports and entertainment media. Thank you for your support from all of us here at the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader for news, talk, sports, entertainment, and mental health.
All right, we are marching towards mid-August, and hopefully you guys had a great weekend. We talk about the Browns and how they looked against the Chicago Bears. And a big week for the Cleveland Browns. They're going to have joint practices with the Buffalo Bills. So we'll break down how the quarterbacks look. We'll break down how the rest of the roster look. Tom Monken's first preseason game as head coach of the Cleveland Browns. How's the operation of the offense? That's a big topic of discussion. We'll get into that coming up. Also, the Guardians, did they get any kind of a W this past weekend? We're in some troubled waters here with our baseball team. I hate to say it like that, but it is true. And also, we get you ready. Week 1 of high school football. This is an exciting time of the year because 2 days are done. Now it's getting yourselves ready for the calls, all of that stuff. We are excited. We're back with you. Another great week to be great. Midnight Run comes your way Monday night, 11:30, right here on the Inside Edge Network.
Welcome back to the Inside Edge Net and the main event. I am Rob Rozycki. We got AA Anthony Alford, Eli Moon, and we are getting along just quite nicely here on this Sunday night, recapping all of the week's highlights and lowlights and everything in between. And I guess if we're going to talk lowlights, let's switch to baseball here for a split second. The Cleveland Guardians lose to the Padres 5-0 today. I believe that's now 15 shutouts on the season, if memory serves me right here. We can always, I could be wrong. But now you're looking at another series loss, this time against a pretty good Padres team. A series I didn't have a whole lot of high hopes for walking into it. But you throw in, losing 2 out of 3 against the Tigers, losing 2 out of 3 against the White Sox, getting swept by the Mets, 2 out of 3 against the D-backs. And really, the last time they looked halfway decent was against a pretty bad Reds team. Morale is not really flying high right now, despite the fact that they did pick up a pretty good bat or two at the trade deadline. Are the Cleveland Guardians worth the attention now for the final 35-plus games of the season?
Rob, question for you to your question. Am I allowed to be irrational now at this point? It's August, middle of August. We're 5 games below 500. We are 6 games out of the division, our only ticket into the playoffs. I'm just asking before I begin my point, because we were here about almost a year ago, and we were having discussions about this team and how we should rally around the comeback. And, there's a chance. Am I allowed to be irrational before I begin?
Well, I don't know how irrational you're going to get, so I do have a question about that. Because 6 games in mid-August sucks. 6 games at the top of September, that's a death sentence. But we'll let me reserve judgment for a second or two.
Okay, irrational with cause. All right, so I'll begin with this. Terrible. Just absolutely terrible. This team has been terrible. I mean, it has been an absolute joke, a dumpster fire, if I may, since the trade deadline. Okay, the bullpen was bad coming out of the break or the deadline, where, yo-ho, more like, yo, no, like, to stop pitching. Like, you were not looking good. And he's had a few all right outings, I guess, since then, but nothing crazy. Nathaniel Lowe's had some at-bats that looked good. Joe Adell has found contact a few times, but the acquisitions haven't made it worthwhile. And Nick Camino actually said this in a tweet last week, and it still rings with me. Most teams, after the deadline and making acquisitions like the Guardians, they were Buster Olney from ESPN's like, hey, the Guardians are the number 1 team in the AL post-trade deadline. They are making moves. Buster Olney is probably kicking himself. He's probably punching every wall in his house right now. Like, I can't believe I just did that shit. I cannot believe I put the Guardians number 1. Because most teams catch momentum, but the Camino's tweet and his point, the Guardians look flat, stagnant. They do not look like they are ready to go do a September run, an October run. So yes, Rob, it's not a death sentence. It certainly isn't, but it's certainly close. Certainly close, because I was sitting here saying how this run could be where they find some momentum, beat the Tigers, get back in the Central race. I know the Padres were coming in hot, winners of 5 and then 6 after they beat the Guardians in the opener of that series, but you could beat the Padres. You could beat the Rockies. You could beat the Giants before that. I mean, where's the easy win? Where's the easy win? Where's the easy win? Oh my goodness, I can't. AA.
What if I told you they don't face a winning team again until September 14th? Maybe. I'm just trying. I really try. Listen, only 3 hits today. No hits. No hit after the 4th inning. And what can you do, right? What can you do when you just cannot string together runs? You can't string together momentum. I mean, you just got to hope for, I don't know at this point. I mean, Jose Ramirez to come along. And Jose did look, he had 2 of those hits. Or actually, yeah. But I don't know. It's just, I don't know what to tell you.
Jose's looking a little bit better the last couple of games. He got his first extra base hit yesterday since his injury, which, again, I think that took about 17 games, so that's worrying in itself. But He's looking a little better. If I want to give you any sort of silver lining or any sort of out on this one, optimism, you bring up the schedule, and Double A kind of alluded to it. September 14th, it's a long time until they're facing a winning team, but I'll even go a little shorter for you. I'll give you basically a 12-game span, going through end of next weekend here. So 2 weeks from now, they got San Francisco at home for the next 3.
Right.
Then they go to the West Coast. They have Colorado, which is oof. They have the LA Angels of Anaheim, San Bernardino County, woof. And then they'll have the Kansas City Royals, woof. So I'm saying that, and they'll finish up. That'll actually take them through the end of the month. That is the end of August.
Right.
If we are sitting here and we're not in it then, it's never going to happen. Correct. We just might as well pack this baby up and go home. But right now, the way the schedule's kind of set up, if you're going to make a run, it's going to be this. And then you consider, okay, San Francisco's at home, but the following, 6 games are a West Coast swing. This team's played a lot better on the road than it has at home. I don't know why, but that's the case. So you got 6 games on the road against the dregs of the National League and the American League. You got to do something with it. You got to do it. You got to move along with it. And then maybe we just luck out that phases that we've seen independently of each other play pretty well. The offense has scored runs at points in time. The bullpen has looked effective here and there. And then, the starters have looked okay. Joey Cantillo and 4 or 3 relievers yesterday threw a 1-hitter, which debate for another day. There was a walk and then a hit, and then they had 27 straight outs without another hit. 9 full innings of outs with no hits. Should that be a no-hitter? We'll talk later. But they've all looked okay enough at separate points in time. We just got to get everybody marching at the same beat. And if they can find that in the next 6 games, 12 games, great. If they can't, then we're ranking quarterbacks from college.
But it's demoralizing. Let's be real about it. It's demoralizing because this is the Guardians team that was at one point earlier on in the season first in the AL Central, and they were jockeying with the Chicago White Sox. We were talking about who's going to edge it out between the White Sox and the Guardians, who's going to get this AL Central slot. And at one point, before the Red Sox got hot and the Orioles got hot and everybody else in the damn AL got hot enough to be in the wild card contention, we were talking about another team maybe getting in as the wild card. The AL Central is our only option. And this is a team that should be able to beat these teams. It's almost embarrassing to me, and maybe I'm the only one acting a little crazy here. It's almost embarrassing to me that a full-strength Guardians team, for the most part, is being questioned. Can we find to go on a run against the Giants, Rockies, and Angels? That should never be a question. I know baseball is unpredictable. I understand that. But it should never be a question for a team that we have high hopes for. And it feels like every August and September, at least the last few years, we brought our hopes down. It was last year, if we just catch the division, let's just see what happens. And now this year, it's can we beat the bad teams to get there? Because on the other side of that AA is, in my opinion right now, the way they're playing, ass-whooping city. They literally play a ton of teams that are going to be in the hunt. The Tigers. You have the Orioles that are still hanging around, the Twins that are still hanging around, the White Sox.
Blue Jays are in there.
Exactly. Yep. And thank you, Rob. I missed the Blue Jays right at the beginning of the month. The Blue Jays. I mean, let's add to the fire. Boston's in there. I mean, there are teams that are waiting to rip the Guardians' head off. And if they don't get it together now, then to your point, Rob, it is done. But that's why my heart already feels like just temper your expectations, because clearly the Guardians have. It is no longer about winning the AL Central. It's just about, can we at least get some W's against some bad teams?
Hold up. Eli, what did you call it? What's city?
Ass-whooping city. Ass-whooping city. That's where they're heading. That's where they're headed.
That's going to be a world tour. I think for me, honestly, it might have been Thursday. It might have been the day where Rozycki joined me on Midnight Run. It might have been that day where I let all my anger out of my system, and now it's just an acceptance that this is what it's going to be. They can't score. They can't hit. I haven't updated this since Thursday, but I'm sure none of this has changed. 27th in batting average, 28th in home runs as a team, 28th in RBI, 27 in hits, 28 in OPS. This is who they are. This is who they are. They can't get reliable hits. They can't score. And you
Well, the
need
weird thing is,
superhero efforts by their pitchers every night for them to even compete.
Yeah.
and the baffling part about this team right now is that if you look at the numbers with runners not on base, when whenever they're not dealing with anybody on second or third or anything like that, and you're dealing with less than 2 outs, the last month has been remarkably good. They're putting runners on. They're hitting the ball. They're walking. They're getting on base. They just can't score. And I've never seen an offense that is so Jekyll and Hyde about when it comes down to those two situations. Like, the joke you can almost make is that, the opponent gets the Guardians right where they want them when they get the bases loaded and no outs.
Right.
Because we all know that just, what the most will happen is a sac fly will score a run and then we'll strand the other two guys on base, if not all three. So,
Right.
or we'll score a run on a double play, or, that'll be what the case is. Like, I've never seen a mental block, and it has to be a mental block because they're hitting the ball. We've seen them hit the ball.
Right.
If you can do it then, you can do it then. Like, if you're talented enough to hit the ball with no outs, you're talented enough to get a hit with runners on base. Like, I don't think that's debatable. It's got to be a mental thing right now, and I've never seen a team that's been like that. And if they don't figure that out, it doesn't matter what the bullpen does, what the starters are doing, what anybody else does. Like, they got to be able to. Where the difference from last year to this year was they weren't putting anybody on, but when they did get somebody on, they could get them around.
Right.
They could hit in the clutch a little bit.
Right.
That now we're not hitting in the clutch, and the power's not there either.
Real quick, Eli, we're 29th in runners in scoring position as a team, 29 out of 30. I've never seen a team, Eli, that on paper got better. And you get Jose Ramirez back, you got everybody back. All right, here we go. On paper, they got better, but on the field, they're worse. I've never seen that before.
And it's frustrating because that's what I was, kind of alluding to earlier, Double A. It's like Nathaniel Lowe brought in from Cincinnati, a guy that had a strong batting average for a first baseman. I mean, in Cleveland, a strong batting average. I'm going to hammer down that point because we can't hit the ball for average typically. At first base, it's been a struggle throughout the last couple of seasons. So seeing that with Nathaniel Lowe, you're like, okay, a guy who has, RBIs on the year, a strong batting average. Okay, let's see what he can do. And Joe Adell coming in 62 RBIs. He's matched 16 homers in LA that, before he came over here. You got to feel good about that. And they just haven't lived up to the standard. And it's not fair to put that all on them. They're coming into a new situation. You got that learning curve. I get that. What the Guardians are finding out, fellas, is what life without a healthy in his prime Jose Ramirez looks like. They're finding out very quickly because of the injuries, because of the Hammond injury, because of the other injuries for Jose this year. They're finding out very quickly what life could look like and will look like if they don't make any adjustments in the offseason to follow without Jose Ramirez. They're getting a very bad look into, when we don't have that one guy in the offense we can count on to bring RBIs home. If we just get it to that third hole, we got Jose. We at least got a chance at the plate. And before it was Quan. I know Quan's had a better second half than the first half, way better. But
He's had a historic second half at this rate.
Agreed, Rob. But the thing is, for most of the season, at least the first half, Quan wasn't that consistency. So the Guardians are finding out what happens when you don't have a strong leadoff hitter in Quan that they've been able to lean on. And now they're finding out what it looks like when the franchise player starts getting a little bit older, starts getting a little bit, more injured, health starts becoming a concern. And that's just the reality when it comes to these Guardians. Is they have rested on their laurels, it feels like, that Jose Ramirez is going to be here to keep this Guardians offense intact throughout the next 10 years. That's not the case. He's mid-30s. He
turns 34 next month. Oh, actually a month from today now, on the 17th.
So I think I'm not wrong by saying mid-30s. He's almost 35 years old. He's a guy that maybe has 3 or 4 more years of quality baseball, and that's me stretching it because I want to see Jose play till he's 40. I mean, let's be real. But the reality is, as Guardians fans, we talk about it all the time, across Cleveland, of ownership changes and things like that, and how the Browns, if we had a different owner, maybe things were different. The Guardians are going to be able to see that. Guardians fans, media, everybody's going to be able to see that. Will it be, a few years from now, 2, 3, 4 years from now when David Blitzer takes over? Who knows? Obviously, there's a plan where you can take it sooner, but we'll see what it looks like. And you hope that spending will increase. And the other thing to keep in mind, the lockout. Of course, salary cap and salary floor, they're going to fight for it like hell. Of course, that's going to be the big discussion from the owner's side. But if the Guardians refuse to spend and they continue to rest on their laurels, then they're not going to get anywhere. And this is just the reality. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I know it was a fun comeback last year. I know we enjoyed the 15.5 game comeback and we won the AL Central. But this is just a year literally later than what the Guardians were going to face last year. We were a great month, a historic month of baseball away from being back-to-back missing the playoffs under Stephen Vogt. That's a reality. And I know Stephen Vogt, not all of this is on him, but some of it does fall on him because you're the guy getting these guys ready to play baseball. I know you can't control who comes in and out of that dugout. You don't make the trades. The front office does. But it's your responsibility to make the most out of it. I know it's a little revisionist history, but I can remember Terry Francona making the most out of some pretty rough lineups when they were injured at times or didn't make moves at the deadline. And I guess it's a little frustrating because we're literally a historic month away last year from talking about back-to-back missing the playoffs if the Guardians continue on this route this year under Stephen Vogt. And that's something we need to talk about.
Well, and you bring up Jose too, and I think and with the way this team is built right now, they have to start looking at a different way to build the team because this whole have Jose be an all-world player and then enough guys to kind of carry him through is not going to work anymore. Mm-hmm. You mentioned, he is in his mid-30s now, but, you look at just the numbers on the back of the baseball card here. He's batting about 40 points lower than his career average. Mm-hmm. He's, the on base is still there. He's still walking at a pretty good clip.
Right.
But the number that's really is a huge deal is about 110 points lower slugging than his career run. And, he's slugging right now about 382. He's around 500 for his career. Yeah. And the power just isn't there. 10 home runs where all 10 happened before his injury. So it's not like he was on fire before the whole thing happened. 10 home runs right now, 30 the previous year, 39 the year before that. And he's been anywhere between 35 and 25 his entire career, really, as a full-time player. Mm-hmm. Like the numbers, the power numbers just aren't there. And again, you want to throw this on the list of things that, if it doesn't happen, then nothing else matters. Jose Ramirez being an average player, we're seeing what happens with this team now when he is basically a league average player when it comes down to, and he's making errors at third base that he doesn't normally make. Hopefully this is just a blip on the radar with a bad injury and we're back to normal next year. But, mid-30s, it's happened before. Father time's kicked in a little earlier than that on some guys. So we have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah. And the one other thing, and doubly, if you want to chime in after this, you're more than welcome to. My last thing on this, though, because it frustrates me. And Rob, I know, and W, you guys know because I'm a big baseball fan. Like that's Papa Moon. That's his sport. So when I sit down and talk sports, the first thing that comes out of his mouth is, man, you see the guards, man. And it pains me because damn, he saw 95 and 97 and all the in 2016's heartbreak. He saw all that. I want one for Papa Moon and for the generations of Guardians and Indian fans back then, like that have rooted for this team and wanted them to just invest. And they are just finding out the cruel reality, Rob, that this Jose Ramirez run as a Guardian could be coming to a quicker end than we expect, at least in terms of what we knew him as. And we still appreciate him. He's a legend, one of the greatest, if not the greatest Cleveland baseball player of all time. But it's frustrating because now there's a case to be made, at least modern. And I definitely would make a case because of the two contracts. That's a different show, Rob. Well, that's a different show. What we'll say is Jose Ramirez, a legendary Guardians player, could be coming to an end in terms of his run here with the franchise at a high clip. What's the Guardians' backup plan? You know what it reminds me of? Manny Acta years, when they literally kept hoping on the next prospect and the next prospect. And then they traded certain prospects for other prospects. And then those prospects became too expensive. So they moved those prospects for cash considerations. That's what I get scared about, is they're trying to bank on the prospects. They did it all year till they couldn't and had to make moves. So I'm scared of what it looks like in the future. Who's taking the baton? Of course, you see DeLauder. He's had shining moments. Bazana. Who's taking the baton to lead this?
He had an injury today, too.
Right. So who's leading this AA? Rob, guys, who is leading this generation after Jose Ramirez? That's what I'm worried about.
Well, if you want
now, right now, I think it might be looking at Angel now.
Yeah.
And guys like Khalil Watson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think too,
Velasquez.
right. And I think if you want to take this last 6 weeks to look at some of the younger guys who could elevate and kind of get things going, that's what these next 6 weeks are for. You brought up Manny Acta, Eli. I've been seeing a lot of comparisons to the 2012 Cleveland Indians team. And I'm like, oh, man, because people got fired for what happened in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's the case here, but what the question you're going to go into, hopefully next season, but if not next season, the year after, if you're talking about, okay, what is this team, right? Is this team who they were in September of last year, or is this a 2-year trend with this organization, with this team? If it's a 2-year trend, you got problems. You got big problems. I do want to end with this, though, real quick. One good Guardians note or Indians note. Eli already knows this. Rob, 20 years ago, we don't have the clip, but 20 years ago, something really good happened with the Cleveland Indians, I believe this particular week in 2006. Want to take a random guess which player it involved or anything in particular?
Yeah, like what it could, like the baseball play it could involve. Like we'll give you partial credit for any of it.
20 years ago today, or this week.
Yeah, yep, this past week.
So we're talking. It wasn't the Usain Naquin game, was it?
Nope, no. Naquin was
that was a little after that.
Yeah, you're good though. Hey, we'll give you a few strikes. Ed, I think you're gonna get it. I believe in you, Rob.
What's happening here?
We'll give you one hint. Because it's a little tricky. It involves the offense, but at this time, offense was good in Cleveland.
Yes, yes, it involves the offense. Yes.
Was it that mammoth comeback?
Nope. AA, you want to go ahead and reveal it?
So, shout out to 20 years ago sports on Twitter. Travis Hafner. This particular week.
Oh, was it a Grand Slam record here?
It's 6th Grand Slam of the season. The Indians scored 11 runs in the first inning.
Well, and he is tied actually with Don Mattingly for most Grand Slams in a single season with 6. Now, I don't know what Hafner's number lifetime is, but the funny part about Mattingly, he had 6 one year. That was the record until Hafner tied it. He has 6 in his career. Those were the only 6 he ever hit.
Holy smokes. Look at that, AA. We got a fact from a fact. How about that?
Look at that. I'm looking it up real quick here. A number of Grand Slams in his career. Hafner hit a total of 14.
Wow.
Grand Slams.
Hey, and do you guys remember my last point on the guards? Because a lot of the things we talk about for the guards make me sick. But do you guys remember the Pronk bars? The Travis Hafner chocolate bars?
Vaguely, yeah.
Okay. A little bit. Just a little bit.
That's the only thing that can brighten my spirit. Just think of a nice Pronk bar. It's like chocolate, the crisp. Like, come on.
One little cool thing, too, about that clip, if you search it on Twitter, do you know who was on the television play-by-play call of that Grand Slam from 20 years ago?
For Cleveland?
Yes.
It wasn't Underwood and Manning?
Manning, yes. Underwood, no. Underwood, I think in 2006 was still on radio.
Okay, so it wasn't Underwood. So Manning was the color commentator. Damn, I don't know. I throw in the towel on this one.
Let me see something real quick. I'm going to try something. We can't play the video. I can't show you the video, but I'm going to put my microphone next to the speaker. What? Take a listen.
No, it didn't
work. Jimmy Donovan was on the call.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
That was a brief moment. I think Channel 3 had like 20 games or something.
So you're telling me you're telling me, Double A, my final point, and I'll hand it to Rob unless you have anything else, but you're telling me we just need Jim Donovan to call more Guardians games, and maybe we'll get more offense, because apparently that's the last time we were really good at offense.
Well, rest in peace, Jimmy.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, I mean, my goodness. No, but I'm just saying. I know, guys. I wasn't trying to be somber. I was just saying, if Jim Donovan was still here to call more games, we'd have an offense. Listen.
So that was August 13th, 2006. McNeil put out a point. I don't even know if it's true or not. Exactly 20 years to the day later, we scored 0 runs in 9 innings.
Jeez.
That's typically what happens. But yes, this is the main event here on the Inside Edge Net. I'm Rob. We got Eli, Double A. Let's take a quick break again, and we'll come back with news and notes, figure out what we've learned, and get the week started in style here on this Sunday night on the Inside Edge Net. Again, I'm Rob. We got Double A, Eli Moon. We will be back.
Looking for an iconic Cleveland music venue that features premier entertainment, spirits, and food? Well, look no further than the Brothers Lounge. They offer a variety of live entertainment acts weekly, along with a diverse selection of beer, wine, and fine spirits, not to mention Chef Wynn's food menu, which has been crafted with traditional American fare with a modern twist. So come on out and enjoy the warm hospitality and make some new friends right here in your backyard. For more information, head over to brotherslounge.com and check them out for yourself at 11609 Detroit Road. That's right near the border of Cleveland and Lakewood. The Brothers Lounge, proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader.
Key On Sports is the leader in Ohio high school athletic coverage in written, print, and video streaming. From the latest news and results and written content to the high school football game of the week every Friday, Key On Sports has you covered. The vision of 15-time published author Vince McKee has become the most trusted site in Ohio high school athletic news. From podcasts to player profiles, Key On Sports is your one-stop for all of it. Visit them today at keyonsports.com or on YouTube at Key On Sports. Check out their socials on Twitter and Facebook as well.
Please support the new Inside Edge Network by liking, subscribing, and following us on your favorite social media platforms. That's at Inside Edge Net across Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, X, and IG. And don't forget to download our new app over on Roku. And as always, thank you for supporting your favorite shows on the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader for news, talk, sports, entertainment, and mental health. Fanatics isn't just our name, it's who we are. Loyal, passionate fans, dedicated to our favorite teams and to the sports we love. That's why we're honored to be able to offer fans the world's largest collection of official sports apparel and sports jerseys from all leagues, teams, and players you love. We feature a wide selection of gear from every league, including the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, and NCAA merchandise, which allows us to serve fans of football, baseball, hockey, basketball, lacrosse, soccer, golf, and everything else that gets your heart pumping. Go to InsideEdgeNetwork.com under our Partners section to find our link to check out all of what Fanatics has to offer. Fanatics, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Clean energy, bold flavors, no jitters. See why people won't shut up about Dubby. Whether you're starting your workday or getting ready to exercise, Dubby Energy helps you lock in and focus. Over 15 different flavors to choose from. Order Dubby Energy right now and find out more information by checking out our partners page on InsideEdgeNetwork.com. Also, use that promo code InsideEdge10 to receive 10% off your order. Dubby Energy, your energy-focused sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Discover our collection of handcrafted candles made with clean, minimal ingredients. Every product thoughtfully created in small batches, free from harmful toxins for mindful everyday indulgence. Imported coconut soy wax with natural wood wicks to offer long-lasting burn and rich fragrance. Find out more about Alley Rose Fragrances by checking out their link on our partners page at InsideEdgeNetwork.com. And if you're a first-time customer, use the promo code InsideEdge20 to receive 20% off your order. AlleyRoseFragrances.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Dine, drink, and dance at the premier spot in town. It's time to check out all of what our friends over at the Brothers Lounge have to offer. Everything from weekly live entertainment, a wide variety of different beers, wines, and spirits, and an expertly crafted American fare menu with a twist courtesy of Chef Wynn that'll make your mouth water. So, what are you waiting for? Head over to the Brothers Lounge at 11609 Detroit Road or check out their website, brotherslounge.com, to learn more about what you've been missing out on. Brothers Lounge, proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Whether searching for a baseball autograph by your favorite World Series slugger, a signed football by an iconic Hall of Famer, or the jersey of a world-famous soccer star, you've come to the right place. Here at sportsmemorabilia.com, the web's leading source for authentic sports memorabilia, you'll find more than 500,000 authentic products from nearly every professional sports league, team, and players. Not only will you find your next prized sports possession with ease, thanks to superb customer service and tremendous site experience, you'll have satisfaction and peace of mind that every product listed comes complete with a certificate of authenticity and is fully backed by the sportsmemorabilia.com lifetime authenticity guarantee. Check out sportsmemorabilia.com by heading over to the partners page on our website, InsideEdgeNetwork.com. SportsMemorabilia.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Discover our collection of handcrafted body mists made with clean, minimal ingredients. They offer a natural alternative to synthetic fragrances, perfect for sensitive skin and those seeking clean, mindful self-care, and the perfect gift for you and your special someone. Learn more about all Ellie Rose Fragrances has to offer right now by clicking the link on our partner page at InsideEdgeNetwork.com. First-time customers use that promo code InsideEdge20 to receive 20% off your order. EllieRoseFragrances.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Monster Moments Photography is a husband and wife wedding photography team based in Cleveland, owned and operated by Inside Edge Network's very own Ryan Mosser and his wife Hallie. For the past 10 years, they've captured more than 100 weddings across Northeast Ohio and beyond, always working together as a true two-person team. Their style centers on authentic, emotional storytelling, documenting the real moments between two people in love and creating images that feel natural, comfortable, and true to the couple. Rooted in Northeast Ohio, but inspired by their travels, Ryan and Hallie bring a warm, personal approach to every wedding day. Their work blends experience, consistency, and a genuine passion for helping couples relive their best day through timeless photography. Learn more by checking out Monster Moments Photography's link on our partners page at the InsideEdgeNetwork.com website. Monster Moments Photography, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Find us on InsideEdgeNetwork.com for the latest information on your favorite shows, personalities, and network partners. Plus, we have a merch shop. That's right, we have network polos, t-shirts, champion jackets, hats, and bottles. Rep the network. Every purchase supports independent sports and entertainment media. Thank you for your support from all of us here at the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader for news, talk, sports, entertainment, and mental health.
All righty, this is the main event on the Inside Edge Net. I'm Rob. We got AA Anthony Alford, Eli Moon. And let's start off with news and notes. I know this wasn't on the list of talking before the show because it actually came down during the show. Real quick, not really a sports story, but Hayden Panettiere, the actress, passes away very suddenly. I think at the age of 36 years old. Most notably, I think for this demographic, she was Coach Yost's daughter in America. In Remember the Titans, she was also in Heroes and in Nashville and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, I think everyone was a little surprised by somebody so young, kind of suddenly getting that announcement there.
Yeah, super sad. I mean, and I think she was in like some Disney movies as well, and just I definitely recognize that name from like growing up. Like, I mean, I'm 29, so like seeing her kind of grow up through her actress career and things like that, just severely sad, man. I mean, death is never an easy thing. No matter if it's, somebody close to you or somebody you grew up, watching, rocking with, just never easy. So, prayers go out to the Panettiere family and her loved ones, her close ones and all that. Extremely, extremely sad. And you just never like to see this type of news. So yeah, I don't have much words on it except for, I mean, she played a pivotal part in a lot of people, like especially my generation's like childhood and like movies. Like we saw her growing up through movies and through her adult life, and yeah, it's never easy, man. So
Well, Nashville was a huge hit. Heroes was the biggest show on the planet for a while. Remember, The Titans is still considered one of the best sports movies ever made. So yeah, I mean, yeah, she's definitely a notable name, and yeah, she kind of dropped out of the limelight. She's had some medical issues, I think, the last few years, but yeah, surprising and very kind of shocking that that'll just pop through your news feed at 11 o'clock on a just a Sunday night here. But yeah, thoughts and prayers go out to that whole. What's up?
I was gonna say real quick. You think about her role in Remember the Titans and what she did in particular, like that whole storyline. Coach Klein and all that stuff. Like, and she knew her character, like knew football and stuff. Like to be a child actress, back then, and to have that strong of a presence in a movie that is as memorable as Remember the Titans, that's pretty special. And it also hits home too when somebody, I guess, is close to your age, close to my age, like, oh man, like she's 36, I'm 34. It's just, it gets really tough. And again, we don't know either, because it's just broke. We don't know cause of death, anything like that, but yeah, definitely thoughts and prayers and everything to the family, friends, and fans too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers. There's not really a whole lot I could say past that to lighten the mood, but yeah, let's try to move on as best we can after that award-winning opening from me here. This is the main event here on the Inside Edge Net. We got Double A Moon and myself, Rob Rozycki. News and notes here. I guess we'll file this under the news and notes because there's really not a better spot to put it. The Cavaliers made a trade. Dennis Schroeder's going to be playing for his 11th NBA team. He is now a Charlotte Hornet. The Cavaliers get back a pretty young player who had an off year last year, Trey Mann.
Yeah.
What do we think of this deal, gentlemen?
Well, I'd like to relay, Rob, I know we get to talk with you on Sunday nights. I'd like to relay this from Inside Edge Primetime co-host Chad Bryan. That Trey Mann, he thinks, is a superhero that hits threes. Hence, Trey Mann. He's a Trey Mann. But, yeah, we'll see what happens, man. He's a younger guy. I mean, he does help out with the cap space. The big goal for the Cavaliers this offseason is getting under the second apron. That's why James Harden is, I guess, meticulously still waiting to sign his deal. And, this is why we made the move we did. Yeah, or the Cavs made the move they did, this past week. They made that move to free up some space to whatever move they're going to do, whether it's Peyton Watson, whether it's Jonathan Kuminga, whether it's both of them and James Harden, who knows? But, that's their plan is to free up some space. Schroeder is a guy, like you mentioned, he's been on almost half the NBA teams right now at this point. So he's a guy that, unfortunately for him, is used as a trade chip. Now, you can view that as a blessing, because that means you're wanted by that many teams, and you're obviously an asset in some light. He does provide veteran point guard experience. And for a team like Charlotte, remember, they traded off LaMelo Ball. They're going to have Kobe White in that starting role, but if they keep him, because I know there's a rumor, people talk of, does he get bowed out or this? I think he'll stay in Charlotte and provide a lot of value for that backup rotation. In Charlotte, that could be a sneaky good team on their end.
11 teams, 9 trades. It's not like he signed 1-year deals with new teams every year. He has been traded 9 times. And for those of you scoring at home, the NBA record for most teams played for, do you guys know?
Is it Ersan Ilyasova?
No.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good guess.
Yeah, I thought Ersan.
Oh, man, you're going to say the name. I'm going to kick myself for not.
Wait, let me try one more. Is it in the last 20 years?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, I can't think of it at 1:25 in the morning, but I'm going to kick myself when you share the name.
Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
The NBA record for most teams, and I'm going to double check this before I really double check this before I get, because I think it was, former Piston, Rocket, Grizzly, Warrior, Magic, Bucks, Sun, Thunder, 76er, Pelican, Wizard, Hornet, and Nugget, Ish Smith.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Ish Smith. Ish Smith making an appearance.
Teams.
Yeah, he's making an appearance here on the show tonight. Hey, look at that.
Are you kidding me?
Crazy.
Oh.
Now, Double A.
I'm sorry, 13 teams. You play for 13 teams.
I counted
14 year. And if you look at what Schroeder did too, he played his first 4 with Atlanta.
Yep.
And then he played, I think, a couple of years with LA. Like he's had a couple of stints somewhere that were long term. But like when he gets traded once, like he doesn't play for 2 teams a year. He'll play for 3. He'll play for 4.
Well, I think the thing for him too is a lot of times his contract, because he's played well enough, is like it's either a detriment to a team that's trying to get out of salary, or it's viewed as to some of these teams somebody that can be a veteran presence. Ultimately, and I'll hand this off to you, AA, on your thoughts, but I just think that for the Cavs, this is just one domino. We're waiting for the big domino splash, whatever that means for an offseason we thought would be stars. Whatever the splash may be, if it's just James Harden signing or Watson or Kuminga, this is what this feels. We're prepping for a move probably as soon as this week.
Now, Cavs Radio Network voice Tim Alcorn said, hey, don't worry, James Harden, he'll be back here. You ever talk with family or friends, people that like you're knee deep in sports talk with, and like your mind starts to race after they say something? It's nothing bad. It's just like your mind starts to race. My uncle brought up at our family gathering yesterday. But in mind, if the Cavs cut their losses and said, move on from James Harden. And I'm like, well, why would you say that? It's like, well, if you lock up James Harden, you can't improve your team anymore. Like, that's your team. Like, that's really it, depending on what he signs, right?
Right.
That's really it. So I'm like, I've been thinking about what he said about that for the last 24, now 48 hours. So I'm going to chew more on that tomorrow. But I would say right now, I agree with Eli, Rob. Like, this is just hopefully just one piece. Hopefully something else is coming down the pipeline, whether it's Peyton Watson or Jonathan Kuminga, it's in there. So we'll see what happens. But, you had to do something, So
this is a salary dump for sure. This is just something to clear out the books a little bit. And I did not realize this until I was perusing Basketball Reference just now. Dennis Schroeder for active players actually is not the leader for most franchises played for.
Would that be Kevin Durant?
No. Kevin Durant's actually like on this list pretty low down because I think he's only at 6. We are talking about the former Washington, Sacramento, Toronto, actually current Toronto. They played this player in the playoffs this year. I won't let you go any further here. Garrett Temple has played for 12 teams.
Should have known that. We should have known that.
Temple had a good
now,
play.
unlike Schroeder, his career started off a little differently. Schroeder played the 4 years with one team. Temple was already 3 teams in by the end of his first season. So I think he got used to keeping his bags packed pretty early. But yeah, it just kind of shows too with the NBA and NHL, both of those teams. We talk about the other sports with guys changing teams 2 or 3 times. No, the NBA, you will do that more often than not. But yes, main event here, Inside Edge Net. We got AA Anthony Alford. I'm Rob Rozycki. We got Eli Moon also. Let's see here too. We got the speaking of NBA stuff, you see Russell Westbrook retired and a lot of teams.
Yeah. Russell Westbrook, he's gonna get a weird talk about
a weird legacy.
Yeah, he's gonna get a weird talk about it, but let's not mistake it. He's a Hall of Famer, and anybody trying to argue me is crazy. The guy's won MVP. He had a triple-double average in a season. He's the first player, I believe, since Oscar Robertson to do that. So, you're looking at a guy that has set a lot of achievements. And yes, I know he bounced around at the end of his career, Washington, LA. He spent some time in different cities. I understand that. But let's not forget that he was the last remaining Oklahoma City Thunder on that team that originally went to the 2012 NBA Finals. Originally it was Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Serge Ibaka. And Ibaka was chosen over Harden, so Harden's out. Then, eventually KD decides, I'm out of here. Ibaka moves on, and Russ is sitting there. And he was literally the life of that OKC Thunder team. When they weren't great, they were an 8 seed before the play-in existed. If you were an 8 seed, you just went and played the 1 seed. That's just what it is, buddy. And you went and played these teams, and you had these underdog stories with Russell Westbrook. So I think that's what a lot of people will remember, especially in Oklahoma City and across the NBA. He stood by OKC when he could have easily been like, hey, man, everybody's gone. Like, this is the Will Smith meme. Ain't nobody here no more, man. Like, I'm ready to go somewhere else. And he didn't for a while. Eventually he goes to Houston, team back up with James Harden, and that's where kind of the bouncing around began. But I'll remember Russell Westbrook as somebody who was a true competitor. Sure, did I agree with everything he did on the court all the time in terms of like play and like how he played? No. I think there were some questionable decisions he made on the court, bad turnovers, things like that. But I also remember the guy that was literally, we talk about here in Cleveland, about who was here when LeBron left the first time and even the second time. Anderson Varejao. That's why he gets a ton of love, even more than he already did, because we were talking about the Varejao games. That's like what OKC has, of course, on a much grander scale with Russell Westbrook. So that's what I'll remember. Hall of Famer for sure. Maybe not first ballot AA, but a guy that will definitely, they're letting anybody in at this point, so he'll definitely get in.
Yeah, the Basketball Hall of Fame, just general discussion. We'll have that this week. As far as Russ, prime Russ was one of the hardest people in the league to guard. You're talking about what he was able to do, with his speed, moving the ball up the court. He was one of the, I'm not going to say one of the first, guys who was just score first. Obviously, that's not true, but his speed bringing the ball up the floor made those early OKC teams dangerous. And I remember having conversations, I think with the both of you, 10 years ago. I'm like, if, back when the Cavaliers and Warriors, it was the arms race, I'm like, I would have loved to have had Russ here in Cleveland when Kevin Durant joined the Warriors. Let's go all in on the arms race and bring in Russ.
I wouldn't have hated it the last couple of years, even, just to add some more depth at point guard and give somebody, give a pro, kind of what Schroeder's going to be doing in Charlotte almost. But with Westbrook, the thing that kind of marvels me is, not a big guy, 6'3", 6'4", 200 pounds, if that, relying on athleticism. Typically, those kind of guys don't last 18 years. And it's not like he was playing, the shell of his former self and doing a retirement tour last year. He was a, above average NBA point guard, even his last year in the league. And the fact that his body held up the entire career, he never really fought off a major injury. He never really, durability was never really a problem. And I know they're coming off a title win, and SGA is being loved, and that entire roster is being loved. But does he still go down as the best Thunder player of all time?
It's wild you just brought that up, because I was just about to say with SGA, I would take Russell Westbrook in his prime over SGA any day of the week. Any day of the week. And that's where the discussion of SGA and is he the greatest point guard of all time, and these discussions of where is he rank in the top 5, and seeing different lists come out where he's number 3 on some lists and number 4, and even some cases they're saying he's the best. He's not even the best point guard in his franchise's history. That goes to Russell Westbrook, because Westbrook was drafted there. He spent a decade plus there in OKC, won an MVP there. And I understand SGA, the MVP. I get it. I understand in the finals. I understand that. But Russell Westbrook, I said this earlier on Primetime this past week, he helped inject life into a franchise that literally was starting up. He was part of the first few years of OKC being the OKC Thunder. So he had Durant, that young blood team of those guys I mentioned beforehand. They had the responsibility of lifting that city and that franchise up to heights to where they can be beloved now at this point by, with SGA and things like that, guys like that. So no, Russell Westbrook's still the best Thunder point guard in franchise history. You can argue best in terms of him or Kevin Durant. I think best player is still Kevin Durant to grace the Thunder, but most valuable to that franchise in the careers, history, whatever, is Russell Westbrook.
I need some time to think about that, because I don't know if I'm willing to put Russ over SGA in terms of best point guard. Most valuable, I would, but then it's two different. Then it's two literal different conversations. Oh man, that's tough. That's a tough one. But that's tough, because SGA is, as much as I hate him flopping and stuff, and I hate it, but SGA is the truth. I don't know if I could just lay down on that argument.
Yeah, but my thing to this, my final point on this, I know we'll talk about it throughout the week, but my final point on this is SGA has been in situations where Russell Westbrook was, and you know what happened? They traded him to a different team. because he wasn't able to carry the load. Russell Westbrook took a team that literally didn't have any other stars, a semblance of a star on those teams, and he was still getting them to the playoffs. SGA, I understand he's a very talented player. I've obviously been one on this network to say I just don't buy into all the hype that he gets. I think he's a great player. Top 5, we can discuss it. Maybe top 7. But he's had guys around him his entire run in OKC that's been shaped and molded to assist his game. And I get that. That's what you do with great players. But no, he's had guys around him that have been damn good and would be second options, maybe a first option in terms of some of these other guys. Jalen Williams. I know Chet Holmgren had a bad postseason, but these are guys that are top 3, top 5, first round draft picks. So I believe Russ did more with OKC than SGA could do with that same roster.
I don't know if I agree with that particular assessment, only because in OKC you're talking about, skill set and stuff. Like, yeah, SGA has those guys. Russ had KD and James Harden.
Right, but I'm,
it's just.
But what I'm talking about after, but W, what I'm talking about is the run after Durant. I'm saying that's where his true testament of star power showed, because he was able to lift them after all those guys left to still a playoff run, multiple playoff runs. I don't think SGA could do that.
That's not fair then, because again, that case is incomplete. So that's not fair to have that conversation because it's incomplete. Like SGA is still. He still has ways to go before we.
Yeah, that's why I'm not putting him on any top lists right now. Like, dude, you got to be a little bit further past your rookie contract to be on a top whatever of all time list.
But yeah.
I think the other thing that we're going to take away too from Westbrook's run and that Thunder run, take some basketball fan who's 12 or 13 years old and show him a picture of Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook on the same team as all young, effective players, and they're going to think it's photoshopped. Like those 3 might go down as the best trio to never win a title. And at least with Durant, he's kind of rectified that out in Oklahoma City. James Harden and Westbrook, though, I think are kind of proving on how hard it really is to find a good situation to win a title in. And I wonder if both of those players, looking back on their whole career, if wanting to have it back again, if they wouldn't just like to keep that band together for a little bit while longer. But yes, this is the main event here on the Inside Edge Net. We got news and notes happening right now. I'm Rob Rozycki. We got Eli Moon, AA Anthony Alford. AA, you brought this up to me, and I guess it's the internet's way of trying to remind everybody every few years that someone's a dickhead. But this Hugh Jackson quote about the Browns and about how he assessed his time here is popping up. Do you want to play that real quick?
Yeah, and real quick before we play it, let me make clear, do research. This clip is 4 years old from the pivot. It's 4 years old, but it's hot in the streets with social media, and none of the information has changed. So I think we go ahead and play it.
That don't bother me. These are big shoulders. I've been through the war. I know what this is like. I failed at Cleveland, according to what people said.
No, according to what you said.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did say that because you know what? Sometimes you got to play the game, right? Okay. I didn't fail at Cleveland. Are you kidding me? Go back and look at the team. Mm-hmm. Go back and look and ask me who had the decision to put them on the field. Okay. I have my own algorithm as a football coach. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. I know what players it takes. How was I coaching them in Cincinnati, but yet all of a sudden in Cleveland, I don't know what it takes to win? Right. No, it don't work that way. Yeah, I didn't all of a sudden fall off the turnip truck and forget football in a freaking year. I know what it takes to win. You think that I was going to put quarterbacks on my team that we had on our team in the beginning?
Preach.
Look, come on now, let's wake up. Look, you know the media, Ryan, as well as anybody. They can, once you start that fire, it takes off and run. Yes. And that's the narrative that everybody can create when they want to.
So let me get this straight. In the clip that he said he didn't fail, he said he failed earlier. That's what, we hit these old coaches, and I know we're talking about a 4-year-old clip, but that's how coaches kind of become punchlines, like where you don't really kind of have the self-awareness to realize that you might not have been the whole problem, but you were definitely part of the problem. And the fact that he's selling out, what was it, Baker Mayfield and Tyrod Taylor, right? Those are the two quarterbacks that were on the roster. Like, two quarterbacks who, mind you, are in the league still to this day, something Hugh Jackson really cannot claim right now. So you're going to throw those guys under the bus, which every great coach knows that the first thing you do when you fail is you blame the players and don't take any responsibility on your own end. But yeah, like I just like it how the internet once in a while wants to remind everybody how big of a dumbass somebody is. Because again, we're talking about a quote from 4 years ago. I vaguely remember when it was news. And what was that? That was the Pivot podcast. So with Ryan Clark,
Yep.
pre-ESPN termination, and everything going on with that.
Yeah, I mean, the Hugh Jackson times are dark, but let's be clear. This is like one victory, one small victory we have in Cleveland Browns history. Like this is like when we've talked about the shit show at quarterback. We've talked about everything else falling on our face at the opening of the show. This is like one of the only small victories we have, is we can say, well, we were right about Hugh Jackson. We finally moved on and he's delusional, but yeah, I don't know, man. I in 2026, I really don't have any more words for Hugh Action Jackson.
I think it's he said, trust me with Cody Kessler. He said, Rob, I remember doing those freaking post-game shows at TAM after those horrific losses. And his teams were close and they couldn't get it done. And it's like, sometimes your record says who you are. And that's what it was. And he said, how could I be this good of a coach in Cincinnati and then not, and then
he wasn't the head guy in Cincinnati.
I'm like, yeah. When you sat at the head of the table, you were trash. You were trash. And then, all right, fine. We'll even give you the excuse of, okay, 2016, you were fielded a bad team. And in 2017, you were fielded a bad team.
Yeah, and to be clear,
you had a roster with Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett, and many others, and you were 2-5-1.
But keep in mind, and in all fairness, he wasn't throwing Baker and Tyrod underneath the bus. He was throwing Deshaun Kaiser, Cody Kessler, and Kevin Hogan under the bus. And yeah, I get that, but the thing is too is like, you took that job with at least Kaiser and Hogan on the roster. Like, it's not like this caught you by surprise. You were saying, all right, this is Hugh Jackson football, baby, while apparently knowing full well that you didn't have a quarterback. Like, again, like you got to take some responsibility in your own right. And when I'm talking, not just a coach, but a leader in general, you have to have the ability to say, all right, this one's on me. I dropped the ball. I could have done things better. I could have made a different decision. And the fact that he hasn't really done that is kind of proven why he's still bouncing around lower level college football as a position coach. Because he's the quarterback coach at Georgia Tech it's an HBCU, right? Yeah.
Georgia State. And also remember too, guys, he wanted to trade for AJ McCarron over in Cincinnati.
Yeah, that was true too.
And because of a broken fax machine, it didn't go through. And AJ McCarron has not had a highly successful NFL career. So when he wanted to get his guy, it still didn't work out.
Yeah.
But good luck to you, Jackson. I'm sure he's a good guy. Hopefully he's doing some great things. But you want to talk about like not taking accountability. There it is. And I think what makes this record sting for Browns fans is that you thought, okay, coming out of that, you had a team that was built to compete and contend for Super Bowls, and then that got blown up for Deshaun Watson, and now we're in year 5 of Watson, and why fans are extremely frustrated with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, and it's the same cycle, different kind of day. All right, this is the main event here on the Inside Edge Net. We're pushing 1:45 right now. So do you want to knock out one more news and note, or do we just want to move to what we've learned at this point in time? I'll take the room's temperature on this one.
My bladder is saying we need to go right to news and I'm sorry, right into what have we learned?
Yeah, all right, all right, Moon, what did we learn today?
Yeah, what I learned this weekend is just look, the summer is coming to an abrupt end apparently because it's rained literally every freaking day for the last 10 days here in Cleveland, Ohio. And you get your summer days in, get your summer nights in while you can. Enjoy that summer weather. You know, Pop Moon and I were chilling outside, enjoying the summer weather. I was outside all throughout Cleveland, Ohio, throughout the day. Enjoy your summer days. Enjoy whatever's left of Guardians baseball, because that will unfortunately be coming to an end here in about a month's time if I'm on track with how bad this team's been recently. So enjoy some good Guardians baseball. Enjoy some good eats. Step out. There's some good concerts still at Blossom and a lot of great stuff going on. So just my what I learned this weekend is, unfortunately, what I learned almost every middle of August, that summer is coming to a close. Here sooner than I'd expect. And just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Get out there and rock out. Go enjoy some great shows. You know, again, the Brothers Lounge, title sponsor of the Inside Edge Network. Great shows all week long. I'll have some shows and some announcements coming up in the next few weeks. And yeah, just enjoy summer, enjoy great music, enjoy community, and start getting your windbreaker from the InsideEdgeNetwork.com merchandise store, because you'll need it at this point.
Yeah, you will need it at some point. But yeah, definitely InsideEdgeNetwork.com. Even the polos, got to get the polos. Yeah, high school football about to start up later in the week. So can't wait for that. All right. Listen, I learned that sometimes when you get lost into YouTube, you sometimes stumble onto a random video and you say, man, I want to do more research about said player. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not breaking news, but in case anybody forgot, the late, great Sean Taylor was an absolute effing beast. That's what I'm watching the highlights of Sean Taylor. I'm watching how he's covering the field, you know, his time, you know, with the Washington Redskins. I'm watching how he's covering the field. I'm watching how aggressive he was playing his position on defense. I'm like, dude, Sean Taylor, had he been able, you know, unfortunately, tragically passed away, had he been able to play out his NFL career, I have no doubt in my mind Sean Taylor would be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he's that good. He's that special. You talk about DBs who's able to effectively not just cover and do that, but the speed to be able to scan the field, to be able to go point of attack, make contact with whoever's out there in the open field. Sean Taylor did just that. And honestly, the game kind of changed because of Sean Taylor. Sean Taylor is responsible for the Pro Bowl no longer accepting real tackles. Sean Taylor had the last real tackle in the history of the Pro Bowl. Since Sean Taylor decked, I forgot who it was, but he decked whoever he decked in the Pro Bowl. That was it. All right, guys, no more real hitting. We're gonna attempt to play a football game, and then now they're doing the whole Pro Bowl games. But yeah, sometimes it's going to get lost in YouTube. I'm telling you, if you want to look for a player to kind of just watch some highlights, Sean Taylor from college and the pros, he's the real deal. He was the real deal. And I think if he would have lived on, he would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was well on his way. Yeah, he's still revered in a lot of from Miami, the U. So he's still talked about as almost a deity down there. And yeah, he's one of the few players that I get ticked off when I hear about the way he's treated and his memory and legacy is treated by the team, because Washington's famously dropped the ball a few times when it comes down to honoring him and doing the right thing. So yeah, he's one. Yeah, that definitely. And yeah, when you crawl down those YouTube highlights, for me, it's Barry Sanders. I'll get stuck on him and just kind of go for a half an hour before I realize what's happening. But this is the Inside Edge Net. This is the main event, the waning moments of the main event here on this Sunday night. I guess what I've learned today was something I've known it, but I think we should share it now with everybody too. Now that he has passed away, Tommy John. And if you're a certain age, if you're under a certain age, you really know him as the namesake of the Tommy John surgery, of pitchers, quarterbacks, throwers. When they get elbow reconstruction surgery and they replace a ligament in there, that's Tommy John was the first player to ever really get that on a high profile level. And apparently the doctor did not want the procedure named after him, so they went with the patient. But Tommy John passed away today at the age of, he was he was 83 years old. He needs to go into the Hall of Fame. He absolutely does. First off, yes, we have the the procedure that we are very familiar with today, but he's got 288 wins. He played for 26 years in the major leagues. More than half of that was after he had his elbow rebuilt. He was an all-star 3 times after the surgery. An ERA under, I believe it, under 3.5 ERA. Like, he has been around. He actually debuted with the Cleveland Indians way back as a 20-year-old in 1963 and was throwing for the New York Yankees at the end of 1989. He was the proof that elbow surgery could hold up. And, for those of you who weren't around, didn't hear any stories about how elbow injuries were treated back in the day, think Tristan McKenzie. He hurt his elbow, opted not for the surgery, and you never really heard from him again. He bounced around the Padres system this year and was cut a little bit ago. Like, that's what would happen to a player who had an elbow problem. Now it's a year or two rehab and you're back, and sometimes stronger than ever. But for his contributions, for the career that he had, he's not just a no-name player that was in and out. Like, again, he was a 26-year big leaguer, 4-time All-Star, in the Cy Young voting, top 5 a couple of times. Like, he is I think, more than worthy of a candidate to go to the Hall of Fame. And again, without that elbow and without his consent to what baseballreference.com calls an eponymous surgical procedure is why he missed 1975. If it wasn't for that procedure, baseball wouldn't be what it is today. And for that, he should have gotten the Hall of Fame when he was alive, but he definitely needs to get in after he passed.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. I mean, rest in peace to Tommy John. I don't want to dive too much into his Hall of Fame stuff tonight because we discussed it off air. I think there's a case to be made. There's also a case to be made that with all the guys that haven't got in as well, and I understand the injury, but the Baseball Hall of Fame is a tricky one because there's only a select few that get in. So, tonight I won't get into any of that, but just rest in peace to Tommy John. Again, thoughts and prayers to his family, to everybody around him. Definitely has a case to be made for the longevity, for what his injury created for baseball in terms of modern medicine, sports science, things like that. The only tricky thing, the one thing I will bring up, the only tricky thing on his case is going to be he didn't win the Cy Young. He doesn't have any World Series to show for and things like that. So that's what they're going to measure. So that's the only thing I will say. But today is not a day to bring any of that up. Rest in peace to Tommy.
But for the record, I think he still has to this day the record for the most innings pitched after a Tommy John surgery. And it was the first one. He threw over 2,500 innings after his elbow was rebuilt.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. But we've seen time and time again the baseball voters, which is, maybe I'll dive into it sometime this week on Prime Time with Chad. But the baseball voters are just hardcore. Like, you can't do anything wrong, and you have to have damn near the perfect resume to get in. So are they going to weigh, I guess it's the question, are they going to weigh the injury as a moment in baseball, which I agree with you, Rob, should be honored in some way, whether it's an exhibit for the Tommy John injury and all that stuff, in the surgery, or, does he get in? But I think it's going to be interesting because there's a lot of guys that still haven't got in that probably should get in as well.
I'm sorry. I keep looking to my right. This has rest in peace, Tommy John, GOAT, absolute GOAT. I keep looking to my right. It might be your left. I have an air vent. I keep hearing the crickets and stuff. I think it's in my vent. I hope it's not out. I hope it's outside, but I hear it on this ear, and my window's on this side. I'm a little worried about my little studio here.
Yeah, you're about to have your own Jiminy Crickets.
Well, and I don't have that issue, but I do have vent issue. We got a new air conditioner at the beginning of the summer, and I think this thing is strong enough to cool down the new Brown Stadium. This thing works, and Double A knows because he was here like last week. I got a flag hanging. It's actually a Star Trek flag hanging in the corner. And whenever the vent kicks on, this thing pops out and goes over the TV like the house is haunted. And that just happened about 5 minutes ago. So that was what diverted my attention while eulogizing Tommy John. But rest in peace, Tommy John. Again, somebody who the baseball world would be definitely different without. So, I mean, 2,500 innings on a rebuilt elbow. Nice work. I mean, there's starters that play their whole careers now that don't get 2,500 innings.
Yeah, his influence helped extend a lot of careers, and for years to come. So he definitely has a complete influence. Can't tell the story of baseball without Tommy John.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's probably my argument for the Hall of Fame for him, because I think if you have that distinction here, of being able to have an integral part to the story of baseball, then you should probably at least get some recognition in the Hall of Fame.
But that being said, my final point of the evening: if you can't tell the story of baseball without Tommy John, you can't tell it without the steroid era. So let all the steroid baseballers in too, then.
You ain't getting an argument out of me.
Yeah, you're not going to fight me on that one.
I'm just saying.
And by the way, Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer are the only two active pitchers who have more innings in their career than Tommy John had after his elbow was rebuilt.
Yeah, I mean, incredible. But again, if we're going to put Tommy John in, then I want all justice for baseball. I want the steroid baseballers in. I want Pete Rose. Pete Rose should have got in the travesties baseball has done to certain legends in their career. So
we'll see if we'll get Maniloff on here, because him and I will spar occasionally off air about, because he's a baseball writer, has a Hall of Fame vote. And he's him and I see the steroid stuff differently. And really, and again, this is too late to get into it hardcore, but it's a generational thing. Like the guys that are older than me, like the ones in their 50s and 60s on up, like it's an unforgivable sin. Like you don't mess with steroids. You don't take it as the sanctity of the game. But people my age and younger, I was 16 during the home run chase. That was a formative time in my baseball fandom. So it was a cool thing. At least it wasn't a big deal. So I think we might see some of those guys get in the younger that the average age of the Hall of Fame voter becomes.
Also, real quick, shout out to, was it Joshua Baez? I think that was his for St. Louis over the weekend, Saturday. First pitch home run and an overall 3 homers in his debut. Incredible. And Chip Carey, the Cardinals play-by-play, the Careys, Harry Carey, Skip Carey, all those guys. He said that was the top baseball moment in his entire broadcasting career.
If you think about it, I think it's 17,000 and change guys that played Major League Baseball. He's the only one to hit 3 in the first game. Yep. Period.
And he had 5 ribbies, most since 2010 by a rookie making his debut.
And to tell you how much he swayed the crowd, for a St. Louis Cardinal to get a standing ovation in Wrigley Field, you got to do something pretty good.
Right.
Incredible. All right, guys.
All right.
Great stuff.
Let's call this here. It's 2:00 in the morning. I got axe throwing here on the TV, so I'll be, actually a couple of hot chicks with axes. Okay, that's fun. We'll call it a night here. We'll let everybody break. Double A has to run to the bathroom. Eli Moon has to do whatever he's going to do, and I'm going to sit here and watch the Ocho for a little bit while longer. This is the main event here on the Inside Edge Net. Thank you guys for wishing me a happy birthday. No better way to spend my birthday than on a Sunday night just talking to you guys about the news of the day. But thank you guys, and thank you guys for being there for the last 10 or 11 birthdays or so, too. It's been a fun time. But for everybody here in studio, we got AA Anthony Alford, Eli Mooney. I almost said your full last name. That was kind of
easy,
weird.
bro. Don't give the fucking government out. Hey, I was trying not to drop an F-bomb on the show. Go ahead.
I've never used your full name, I don't think, in your life.
I thought my mom was coming around the corner. I thought my mom was coming out with the belt. Like, nobody's talking about the belt. The ass whooping. Don't take us to ass whooping city.
All right. We got AA Anthony Alford. We got Papa Moon's kid. I'm Rob Rozycki. We'll see you later.